How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Sean Atwood channel. I'm Ron Swanson. I'm here with Steve Isdell, and we're going to be delving into what lurks in those dark places in the woods and talk about Steve's experiences throughout his, quite expansive outdoor world and life. So before we do that, Steve, introduce yourself and let us know who you are, and thanks so much for being here.
Hey, Ron, how was it? First time I met you guys. I didn't even know about your channel before I got approached, to be honest.
Well, great. I mean, there's nothing...
I don't really spend too much time watching shit. I don't have the time, you know what I mean? And then I've got so many people coming on my channel and emailing me. But anyway, my name is Steve Isdell. I'm on Vancouver Island, Canada right now, West Coast of British Columbia. How do I even start off, dude? My story is not your average story, but it's not about me. We'll just get through this quick. Grew up on the island, commercial fishing, hunting, got a trade in the trades. And then all of a sudden something happened. I went on adventure, left the island. I went up north, the Yukon, northern British Columbia, the Northern Rockies. Next thing you know, I'm with 25 horses heading North Alaska Highway, guiding basically everybody around the planet for big game for, I don't know, 20 years. And a lot is a big outfit, a lot of A-type celebrities, corporate monsters, the works, lots of invites around the United States, met a lot of people, seen a lot of shit. And I was a contractor in Whistler, British Columbia during the off season for the last 18, 20 years before I finally moved back to the island here, where I've got a small farm, raise our own food. And I've got this YouTube channel that has gone a little cuckoo.
Well, yeah, I mean, hang on a second. Tell us a little about your YouTube journey, and then we'll get into, a little bit more about what you do. What was it that sort of drew you to start making content, first of all, Steve?
Yeah, well, I can talk, but I'll try to keep everything as short as I can because there's so much, but it all
Sure.
ties in. So I've never been a big fan of celebrity world or the camera. I've spent a lot of time with a lot of people that need to be in front of that camera. And kind of leaves you a little bit of a sick feeling in your stomach for a lot of it. But anyway, so I guided a lot of those hunting TV shows, etc. When you know what goes on behind the camera, I finally had enough, and I wanted to teach everybody the truth and share with them good, true, honest knowledge on how to do stuff and quit following these phony, lying douchebags. And that's how it started. I never wanted to be one of those guys or be similar to any of them in any way. Yeah. But at the same time, I was very good at what I did. It's just one of my natural things. Guiding for big game in the Northern Rockies is just a natural thing for me. It fit. It's what I was supposed to be doing. So I created a name for myself. Anyway, moving along, I did this one of the biggest names in commercial product promoting hunting shows. And I just had enough of the lying and the bullshit. I wanted to figure out how to share knowledge with the world without any bullshit. And that's how it started. And then I realized, and I came up with an app idea that nobody had done before. And I was about 7 years ahead of the outdoor industry. Anyway, this is all going to make sense in a minute.
Sorry.
And then, yeah. So then I financed it all myself, working my ass off. And then I didn't know anything about marketing. And then, make a long story short, I had to market these apps, but I didn't want it to be about me. I did not. It can't be about me. I don't want it. I'm not one of those guys. But my friends, a friend of mine worked at Amazon. He goes, dude, you got to make a video about yourself and show the world who you are and what you've done. I'm like, well, I don't want to. I just want to be about the knowledge, but nobody knows you or what you've actually done. I've done a few things that few people
got to lay down some credibility. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get it.
So I started making videos online and telling hunting stories because I've always been told I've had the delivery and sharing stories when we're hunting camp with all these people. It's a good time. But anyway, so I started just sharing hunting stories, true hunting stories. And my YouTube channel started going off. And while I'm doing all of this, people start bugging me, asking me about, dude, you got any Bigfoot or Sasquatch stories? And I'm getting hounded by people. Come on, you have to seen something. Tell us if you've seen Bigfoot. And I'm watching this. And I'm like, I need to crack that open like I need a hole in the head, right?
Right.
But meanwhile, I've been watching, and yes, I have seen them. And there isn't a human being big enough to laugh me into changing my story. And, I don't know you, Ron. You seem like a pretty good guy. We're talking before we hit record here, but just so everybody knows, I don't give a flying shit if you believe me or not. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need you to believe anything, and I don't need to convince anybody of nothing, just so you know. But after watching the commercial shit show, the lying bastards going on about this topic on TV, absolutely blatantly misleading everybody for years and making a mockery of this topic, But I finally decided, yeah,
Now's the time.
excuse the language. I'm like, fuck everybody. I seen
Right,
it.
yeah.
It's
I'm
real.
with
There's
you.
nothing you can do to change it. If you can't deal with it, too bad. But more
Yeah.
so, my grandfather, who flew a bomber in World War II, I got pictures of him getting pins on his chest from Queen Elizabeth. He was a prospector. He also is a geologist, prospector. More importantly, this is after my first time I seen this thing staring at me in the woods in 1980. God, it must have been 1985. Anyway, I seen this thing looking at me in the woods, and I didn't know what the hell that thing was. We'll get back to that story in a bit, but you go through life confused as shit. I was 17 years old by myself hunting, and you just don't know what you saw. You get starting to look into it. You got an idea. And it's like, come on, no way. Because there was a silhouette about 15 yards from me against the blue night sky. The sun had just gone down. Anyway, but more importantly, my grandfather takes me aside at Christmas time after dinner. And this is a very important story for me, and which I want to share with you guys first.
Sure.
And I bought him a book called Mysteries of the World book for Christmas. And by now, I've really been looking into this topic, just trying to make sense of what the hell I seen out there. And right after everybody finishes eating dinner, I leave the dinner table, go back into the living room there, and I grabbed my grandfather's book and I went straight to the Bigfoot section. And I'm reading away, and all of a sudden he comes into the room and sits on the couch beside me. Everybody's still in the dining room eating dinner. And he's looking at what I'm looking at. He's not a funny guy. He's a true gentleman. One of the most intelligent people I'll ever come across. Anyway, he's looking at it. He looks at it and goes, "So, do you believe in those things, Stephen?" And I looked at him. I went, "Yep, I'm pretty sure I've seen one, and I could probably hide a herd of elephants in view of Victoria, BC, and some of these hills where I know nobody goes." And then he looks around to make sure nobody can hear us, and he goes, "Well, in that case, I got a story I'm going to share with you." And right away, the hairs on my arm stand up, because for me, it'd be like for you, Ron, whoever you trust most with your life, he's looking me in the eye and he's telling me what he saw. But another thing too, before I get ahead, is the shitty thing is how insecure he was, even with a house full of family, and he didn't want to openly speak out because of fear, ridicule, right?
Mm.
Fear,
Yeah.
ridicule. That
Yeah.
character flaw the majority of the herd's been built with.
What
Anyway,
year was this?
when he told me, I was 26 years old. So I was 17 I would have been 17 in 85, 18, 17, 18, 85.
Yeah, so like early 90s or mid 90s time.
Yeah. And he took me camping and hunting, or camping and fishing all the time. He never hunted for years since I was a little brat. He never told me, never said a word, right? And if I said I didn't believe in those things when I cracked that book open, I'll guarantee you he would have clammed right up and said nothing. But anyway, this is what he said to me. And this is an important experience to kick off our conversation. All right. So he goes, "Well, I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you what I saw because I don't know what I saw. I'm just going to tell you what happened." And right away, the hair on my arm's standing up, because now I'm getting confirmation 100% what I saw looking at me that day in the woods. And he said he was timber cruising for the government mid-July at the head of the San Juan Valley on the west coast of Vancouver Island above the San Juan River. Big fir trees, steep slope. He's going in there. You still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here, bro. Yeah, sorry, I got something right in my eye.
All right, I got you. Anyway, he said, so when you have a creek, I don't know if you're familiar with it where you are, but in the mountains here, when the creek runs through the forest floor, it cuts through the forest floor till it hits the bedrock, the boulders and everything, and you get that root. So the forest floor goes along, then the root overhang, and then up underneath is the clay, and it slopes down. So you got to crawl over top of that root overhang to get down to the bank to slide on your ass down to the creek.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so he climbs over the root overhang, hits the dirt, slides on his ass down to the bottom, and then he looks over, and this is what he said to me. He goes, "And here's this guy in a fur coat bent over the creek." And he stood up and looked at me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh shit, this is going to be some weird hippie story from Port
Right.
Rifle. There's a lot of hippies, right? And then he goes, but then as soon as he ran away, I realized that fur coat was growing out of his body. I'm just all eyeballs and mouth like, what? No way. And he's dead serious. And he goes, and of course I start running the questions through him. I go, "What was it doing?" He goes, "I think it was drinking water." "How big was it?" And he goes, "I'll bet that fella was 8.5, 9 feet tall, and his thighs were as big as my waist, easy." And I'm just like, holy shit. I go, what did he do? He goes, he stood up, looked at me for about maybe a half a second, spun, and took one jump and leapt up that bank that he had to crawl over and slide down on his
Mm.
ass, took off through the forest. And I'm like, you must have been shitting yourself. I mean, he's the man that climbed into a sheet metal tube full of bombs and flew over Berlin, right? And he goes, it's funny, he'd never admit to being scared. He goes, well, Stephen, I was pretty concerned. And I go, come on, right? And I go, you had to have been absolutely shitting your pants. And he goes, no, Stephen, I was concerned. That's right. So anyway, but I guess the thing took off in the direction he had to go to get out of the timber, get back to where his pickup truck was. But anyway, that was the pivotal moment for me when I absolutely knew 100% this is valid, this is real. That's what I saw. And then my brain, I find over the years talking to thousands of people that it's almost like your mind goes one of three ways. You either get absolutely obsessed with Bigfoot and form a Facebook page and get t-shirts and do all this usual shit and go banging on trees and screaming in the night, or you pretend it didn't happen and don't speak of it ever again, and you can't even go into the woods ever again. Or you become an asshole like me and realize we've been lied to about absolutely everything, and you're going to try to get to the bottom of it, and you're going to make sure everybody finds out the truth, whatever truth you can come across, right? So that's what I've been doing since. Oh, no, not really since, but then when I was trying to figure out how to do the marketing and on the YouTube channel, and then I finally came forward because I felt there's my grandfather had the balls to climb into a sheet metal tube full of bombs, right? In his mind, thinking he's saving all of us, flies over Germany. And that same man who is willing to do that is going to die scared of the same people he was climbing into the sheet metal tube full of bombs for. And then I'm like, fuck that. So I came online and said, yeah, I've seen him. Anybody else? And then I realized how many people are scared to share their truth. So I said, I don't give a flying shit. I go, but I already known by then that this whole world is an absolute shit show. So I just said, all right, anybody else out there, are you too scared to share your truth? Email me. I'll share it for you. I don't give a shit. I'll share it word for word. And then all hell broke loose. And then all of a sudden, that was about 6 years ago, I think.
Okay,
and
so let me pause you there, right? So you've had your experience, you had this moment of clarification, right? From it was your granddad, right? Your peer. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously that's going to solidify everything for you, right?
Absolutely.
Because 100%, it would for anybody. Now, after that point, when you had that solid conviction, was there any other sightings or any other moments, or did anything else increase after you got that validation from your grandfather?
I've had stuff ramping up for me personally, probably, well, I wasn't really paying too much attention back then, because even back then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, this is this unacknowledged gorilla around in the woods, and I'm going to go get a picture of this thing easy. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't really paying attention to my surroundings as much as I do now. I wasn't really clued into what the hell's going on, really going on. Like I got some fucked up stories that'll freak you out.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. So I don't know how many years later it was. I mean, it does. If you have a very serious inquisitive mind and you look into this topic, it won't take you very long today to figure out this isn't no gorilla or monkey or unacknowledged Neanderthal. It's not. 100% isn't. And the people on TV trying to push that narrative are lying, filthy, greasy bastards that are getting paid to keep you guys going in a circle. And I came after them right out of the bat because they came after me hardcore. I won, easily won because they're lying sons of bitches. But I put a big dent into the so-called big names, original big names of the Bigfoot world, right? Because they were and are, not so much anymore. I think I've ousted most of them, but they were intentionally misleading the public in a big, bad way. And it just made me sick. And they tried to stop me and attack me in many ways. And I'm like, well, you just filled up my forever fuel tank. I'm not going to stop now.
Yeah.
I'm getting off topic, but I'll get back to your original question. But just so you know, I've had, I think in probably the first 3 years, I think 3 years ago, I stopped count and I had over 30,000 emails from around the globe.
Well, let me ask you this. So globally, right? And I'm sort of going to go a little deeper into your research without you probably getting to that point. Did you start noticing differences between the stories depending on the geographical location of where the
No,
story had come from? Or was it a
everything's meshing right up.
yeah, so it's a standardized species, right? If that makes sense. Was there color differences? Was there anything that would stick out from story to story, or was it just the same thing repeat?
Well, that's the thing. If it's valid, there's going to be patterns, right? Patterns prove everything. And I've had detectives email me and say flat out, you know what, dude? All we need is 3. If we have the number of 3, that's a pattern, and that's our number to go after it, the topic. And
Yeah.
I think I've got around 40,000 emails now, but back to your original question, excuse me. Yeah, the typical description pattern from around the globe, including New Zealand and Australia and Hawaii, is average. Probably the average description on average, there is extreme and lesser, 8.5 to 12 feet tall, 5 feet across the shoulders, upwards of 7 to 1,200 pounds, human-like face. No matter what the television shows try to tell you, I've got probably 99% of the people who are very safe, and I share their encounters word for word.
Mhm.
Probably 99% say it is a man. It is more of a man than not. It's not quite human. I don't know what it. They always say I don't know what it was, but it was definitely a man's face. 99% of them. Anyway, arms are typically longer than arms, reaching down to the knees, 5 feet across the shoulders, thighs the size of our waist, your average man, and faster.
Any of them talk about eye color?
Oh yeah, well you got your classic eye shine or glowing eyes. You know what? I don't know where you are in your knowledge level on this topic. It's almost like to just dive into this with me and share everything I know, what we know as a group with you. It's almost like taking you, if you're not familiar, we're taking you from the second flight of stairs and bypassing about 40 flights and dropping all the rest on top of you right now in the knowledge gathering. You know what I mean? So it might be a little much to just hammer out, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Glowing eyeballs has been reported forever. And we're talking, dude, I've got pilots in Afghanistan in those what A-10 Warthogs, you know, those ones that orbit around, they go.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say that.
Emails me, basically tells me who his firstborn is, where he went to school, where he trained, everything. These guys are vetting themselves thoroughly, and they're watching this thing in their IR light as they orbit. That's another long story, incredible story. And then he emailed me recently, that one particular guy, and he had other guys who were on the ground in Afghanistan that shared with him they've seen these things numerous times. We've got, oh man, I'm starting to get off of topic here. What was the original question before I started?
I was just asking about if there was any groups of eye colors, if there was ever any mention of eye colors in any of the tests or anything that stood out.
A lot of people thought they're seeing the reflection in the headlights, the flashlight, like a deer or dog, but they can light up to the typical colors have been bright white, yellow, amber, red, and blue. It sounds like, I'm just saying, it sounds, when I'm going to answer all your questions, I don't give a flying shit. I'm going to tell you what I know, but
bro, it was because what I've learned is exactly what you said: blue, amber, the glowing, sometimes red. Exactly what I would have answered. So I believe you. I'm here with you, man. I'm here with you. I just think it's completely fascinating.
Well, you imagine being a first timer listening to us talk about this shit right now, right? Like I said, we're taking you to the top flight of the journey right off the bat before you get to start at the bottom.
Oh, I'm hear you. I hear you. Don't worry, we're well versed over here in this corner.
Good.
Don't worry, we're all here for you. We're dialed in. But take us through your process your way. It's I'll stop jumping in with silly questions. You just carry on with your story, Steve, please.
What do you want to hear? I got so much, dude.
Let's take some personal experiences and some secondhand stories. Let's go around the campfire, right, for this section, and let's sort of give your experiences and other people's, because I imagine some of the experiences are going to differ largely depending on who they encounter, right?
Yeah. For me at this stage of the game, just some of the emails that have had an impact on me, like that one particular pilot, I'll refer to him a lot because what he showed us, I guess when they're up like 2 kilometers and even farther away, they're just, what he said was they're cruising around at nighttime to find any hot spots or any action on the ground to make sure that they're not going to mess with anybody on the ground the next day. So they're looking to pick a fight every night just to get ahead of the troops that are going to be there the next day. So they're orbiting, and he looks over with his IR pointer, and he said that IR light, when it hits the ground, and is super powerful from them. We said when it hits the ground, he said the footprint of it is something like 8 feet by 12 feet when it hits the ground. And he said, I looked down and I see this huge thing in a field, and it looked like he was like stooped over digging in the field, the farm field. And there's all, it's mountainous Afghanistan, right? And he said, I think I got something over to his partner. And his partner goes over and moves his pointer over there, and they lit this thing up. And he said the absolute second the IR light hit this thing, it went like this.
Oh, wow.
Like he said, it's just like they're burning its eyeballs out. And we don't see IR light.
No.
We don't see it. And that was amazing to them. And then he said, then the thing stood up. These figures about 10 feet tall, and turned around and started booking it up into the mountains. And they chased it, and they followed it until it disappeared into the boulders up there. So what he's telling us, you have all people say, oh man, there's probably 2 million trail cameras out there. Somebody would have got one on there by now. And your average human being says that. I'm like, holy shit, you dumbasses. Maybe you might think maybe for a second that the technology that us little public worker bees is allowed to have just isn't good enough. Did you ever think about that one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and even if we take that analogy, even statistically based off of their technologies, all of that, or their abilities to avoid technology, statistically, even Bigfoot's going to screw up. Do you know what I mean? So there's that sliver of I mean, imagine it's 90% is just absolute hogwash that people say is Bigfoot on a trail cam. But I imagine there's some out there, Steve, that even you kind of look at and go,
yeah, they screw up for sure. There's definitely a handful. I mean, the Patterson Gimlin film, the one that everybody's seen, it just doesn't make sense. And trust me, it's never been duplicated ever. With the technology they had in '67, they've never done it. Every once in a while, somebody fires up the topic again to get the views and get the crowd looking and talking and blow up their shit. But they've never duplicated it. But why did they catch that thing right there? Why did they catch that thing in broad daylight just like that day, and haven't really quite caught it like that since? Is a big mystery too, right?
Right.
But I mean, I just had a video sent to me yesterday from a super awesome dude I had on the channel from Tennessee, and he sent me a video. A guy got on a cell camera in Tennessee behind this rural strip mall. And it's like you're looking at it, looks just like that thing right there. The body moves the whole 9 yards. I haven't put it up online yet. Probably tomorrow it'll be on my channel. They're going to edit it up and zoom in and slow it down and have a look at this thing. But I had a fish and game officer from California send me a video clip of one standing in a river, broad daylight. And there isn't a doubt about it. It's one of those things. Absolutely. Wow. I've had another guy sent us one a couple months back of this thing, side hill running along this mountain range. It looked like arid, almost looked like it would have been outside of Nevada somewhere. And this black thing on 2 feet is booking it. And I mean booking it. Took minutes. Broad daylight. He's just filming going, man, look at that sumbitch, and I got that. We get these films all the time. I got tons of, I don't know how many photographs I've got. Footprints. Who gives a flying shit about footprints anymore at this stage of the game?
Right. Let me ask you one more thing, right? Just since we're talking about videos and media, have you ever started seeing populations of other things that aren't Bigfoot, but you feel are also something?
Yeah. Well, there's another.
You don't have to go into it.
There's another egg to crack open. Along the way, like at first I was kind of, in the beginning, as I've grown, one thing take note, everyone. Like one thing I've had to force myself to do is trust my fellow human. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many eyewitnesses does it take for you to accept something as valid? Now we're going to talk about. I mentioned a few things to answer your question. Like, obviously, there's this thing called the dog man. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's been cited around the frickin' globe forever. I've had it reported to me probably tens of thousands of times. And at first I'm thinking to myself, oh God, not one of these stupid dogman stories. Give me a break. But I'd be an idiot if I didn't listen to the witnesses, Yeah. Now I've had to accept that as valid. Do I want to run into one of those things? No, who would? But it's valid. I had another guy email me from Midwestern British Columbia, steelhead fishing on the Skeena River, and he was camping by himself in a campground. And he said that this thing, getting back to numerous different species that might have been reported, but there's a pattern to it. I won't mention anything to you unless it's been a in-your-face pattern.
Sure.
This thing goes walking from left to right in his headlights, and the back of this thing was over the front of his pickup truck. You know, over here in Canada, we got full-size pickup trucks, 4x4s. So this thing is back, would have been upwards of 5 feet tall. And he said it almost looked like a wolf, hyena, something. Everybody says the hyena description, but not. And it just cruised right across in front of his headlights, looked at him with attitude like, whatever, disappeared into the timber. And he didn't want me to share his name or his story publicly, which I sort of didn't. That was a long time ago, but I've had that same description of that thing come from West Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, lots in Michigan. Not that I have too much interest in that thing. I hear that pattern. I keep that on a shelf in the back of my head for one day. I have to deal with it.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's,
You know
it's one of those things you can't ignore and you can't rule out because of the situation that you find yourself in. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm at the point now. The more we ignore each other, this means the more of a freaking dumbass you are. Who do you got left? Everybody, the dirt, you know as well as I do, the dirt bags in control need us not trusting each other.
Okay, I'll set dividing. It's so old school, man. Yeah, 100%.
So I've been fucking against that, right? And another thing too, just so you know, my channel, I don't know why we're at 300 and something thousand subscribers here. I think I had over 200 million views here.
Damn.
But I know that it's a waste of time to promote this topic. I know it is. You know what I mean? How do you promote this topic to the public? It's a waste of time. And I figure, listen, the people that have seen this shit, especially the very intelligent people that have seen this shit, they're going to find this place on their own.
I think you're missing something here, bro. Like the internet is so ready for you. If you've not like it's ready. Like people are ready to be like, oh my God, credible, more credibility. Like it's ready. And if you've not pulled the trigger on that, you want to pull the trigger on that because they are ready. Trust me.
Yeah.
There's a whole movement. A whole movement, man.
I think it's probably why the channel's doing so well, because the internet's so saturated with bullshit.
Yeah, people like they want sincerity and realness. You know, you can't teach authenticity to some people, you know.
Yeah. It's working. I mean, you know, but like I said, though, once you've seen something like this and you go around confused and you don't want to hide your head in the sand, you want answers, you're going to find my channel. And they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But getting back to a couple questions ago, how my ride changed. You know, back in the day, I met up with one of the big names of the Bigfoot world, who's a true gentleman, this Dr. John Bendernagel, who lived in Vancouver Island. I had these big goals and aspirations. I was going to go, because I'm a professional hunting guide. I can do this easy. I was going to go up in one of those inlets in coastal British Columbia, and I was going to make a decoy that looked like a great big hairy dude, and I was going to put it in one of those grassy inlets, and I was going to hide in the grass and belt out calls and wait there with my 300 Magnum and my camera, and I'm going to get one on video. Piece of cake. But then once I started looking, it didn't take long to realize, something's not right. Something's really weird's going on here. I guess I could fast forward. Okay, I'll share with you more of my journey. So then I was living, I finally had moved. Ever heard of Whistler, British Columbia? Ski area?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Hollywood of the mountains in Canada, right? So I moved there to a small town called Pemberton, British Columbia, which is just north of Whistler by 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And I quit guiding for a year. So I'm contracting and guiding in the fall with my horses. So I'm living my horses up in this rural meadow, called the Pemberton Meadows Valley. And then I'm like, all right, I quit guiding for a year. And I know that I'm living in ground zero for sightings for these hairy people that I'm going to call them. And I'm like, I'm going to start looking for them. And I was putting together where all the sightings were. I'm asking people around town. And it was easier for me to find an eyewitness of these people than it was somebody who's seen a cougar. And there's cougars everywhere around there.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're talking fish and game officers, police officers, taxi cab drivers, loggers, you name it. Everybody's seen these freaking things, right? So anyway, I started going to look for them. And I finally figured out where I would probably come across them, going by the timbered draws on either side of this long valley, and how I knew they needed timber to move around from Squamish over to Pemberton and go northern BC. And I thought at the time that I nailed it. And I had this kid that worked for me, and we're sitting there in this meadow, and there's grizzly bears and black bears, there's shit all over the place, moose and stuff. And all of a sudden we heard this 3-toned call, almost feminine tone to it, and a call that no human could mimic, because I just couldn't. I can mimic anything in the woods, wolves with my mouth, moose, elk, whatever, but I just couldn't mimic it. It's like a 3-toned ooh, like, and then that tone, not aggressive, not scary, would change 3 times. I'm like, there's only within 100 yards. And the kid looks at me and goes, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think somebody's here." And without a question in my mind, they're there. So then I started thinking like a typical human hunter. I'm like, I know I'm going to really sucker these things. I'm going to park my truck 2 miles down the logging road. I'm going to jump into the riverbank, and I'm going to sneak up the riverbank into this meadow, and I'm going to get them on video. So I started doing that. And then I'm in there one day on the side of this meadow, I had my camera on a tripod. I had my rifle hidden in the grass at my feet. And all of a sudden, the only way to duplicate this would be like if you had a backhoe, an excavator, slamming through the underbrush and smoking the side of a huge cedar tree with a log.
Yeah.
There's the only way you could duplicate what was going on in front of me would be
with
machinery swinging a log. And it scared the absolute shit out of me. I didn't even think I had a camera. You don't even think about cameras. It's like, I got to get out of here. But that was the moment for me. I'm like, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah.
You guys leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. And then from there, and that was when I stopped and I realized, all right, this isn't an animal, and this is pretty scary. And I also seen this thing like the game of Frogger. I was on the other side of the thing, and this big black thing appeared on the other side of the meadow from me, about 200 yards away, just popped up. I'm like, what the hell's that? And then ducked down again when I looked over, and popped up again about 30 yards to the right in about 2 seconds. Pops up. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I just had adrenaline and terror through my spine there. And I got the hell out of there. And then, because a big part of my life is being in the woods. I've done a lot in the woods. I used to go 120 days straight remote in the Northern Rockies, come home, and then I'd do another 30 to 60 days deer hunting myself in the Canadian coastal mountains. And then I would be trapping wolves in the wintertime for a couple months. So I'd do, sometimes for about 6 years, I did probably 260 days in the woods a year.
Wow.
And, but then after that, I'd get little reminders that they're out there, because once it seems, this is a big pattern. Once these people, these beings, once they know that you know, they remind you quite often. And a lot of people have shit. It's almost like they call it tagging. Somebody nicknamed it tagging. And people who have been tagged, they will go on to have more and more experiences, often following them from one rural property. Some people have moved states away and shit starts happening in their new place. Same shit. I'm probably babbling away here. I could obviously talk for hours. I'm just going to go into different branches by accident, right?
No, I think you got to understand, like, we get it. We understand, like, let's first of all, how they travel, there's no skeletons, how they disappear and blend in. And what's your take on that? Because a lot of people talk about interdimensional, a lot of people talk about they go invisible. And sure, I can buy either, but we need to talk about the speed in which these things can travel, right? It would make sense if you're moving from one place to another in the woods. Sure, if they're walking through the woods, but I mean, I'm sure at some point people have moved, like you've said, and there's got to be some civilization to cross through. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your take on? In fact, let me rephrase that slightly. What do you think we're dealing with, Steve?
Well, now we're gonna jump right into the crazy ass end of the topic. So I'll build up there pretty quick, but I'm going to give you a couple of firsthand experiences that directly links up to that zone. All right. So way back in those days, and I'd already put an end to that, because I can't afford to have my life annihilated from being terrified. Because you wouldn't believe how many A-type kick-ass dudes that I've met who are big game hunters, martial arts, you know, and They sold all their hunting equipment, sold their rural home, won't even drive by a patch of timber ever again, moved to the city and won't talk about it. Done. Done. Your fair crack at living your best life and being passionate about your hobbies has just gotten stripped from you. Gone. And
Wow.
that's a huge pattern. And that's one thing that I was scared of. I'm like, fuck, I don't want this taken from me. I don't want to
How
ruin.
huge, how huge a pattern, Steve? Like how prevalent is getting chased off?
Chased? Oh my God. Shit.
No. I mean, the metaphorically chased off, like your friends who've
You mean how your
rural.
whole lifetime turned upside down and your ability to enjoy the outdoors stripped from you? That's happened a lot. And like even right now, the channel, I have so many people follow the channel, so many people email me, and I don't have a clue how I'd be able to figure it out. But I wonder how many people are following my channel, not saying shit in the background. They're not going to say nothing. They don't want to talk about it. They don't even want to admit to watching the channel because they're too twisted up and terrified and demented from what they saw. Who knows how many people are out there sitting there in that position? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be able to answer how many people have had their lifetimes ruined because I don't think we're going to hear from all of them, but it's a lot. We're talking.
It's enough for it to pop up on your data points, right?
Oh my God. I couldn't even, it's heartbreaking in a way because I feel for them. That's my motivation. Okay. Here's another thing too. As soon as we talked about how your mind will go 2 or 3 different directions once you are slapped in the face with this reality without asking for it, you're either going to get obsessed about it or you're going to pretend it didn't happen, or you're going to be like me and you're going to go right away. You're going to go, you dirty, filthy bastards. Why are we being lied to?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like for me, the majority of the human herd got real dumb real quick as soon as I figured out this is real. I'm like, holy shit, no way. And then another point I'm going to make quick is, like here, I live rural right here. You imagine if you were my neighbor, okay, you're my neighbor, you got 3 small kids. You live like right over there. And I get up in the morning and I see a 9-foot grizzly bear ripping apart a moose kill in the bushes just off the side of the road where your kids are walking to school. And I don't say anything to you. You'd be a little pissed off, right?
Right.
So for me, I'm like, you filthy pricks. Why isn't the public being taught this truth? So many lives are being annihilated and nobody gives a flying shit. Well, obviously, I mean, we know that, but that was one of my big motivators. Like, you filthy sons of bitches. Why are you not teaching the community about this? This is bullshit. Right.
They fall into the lost and hidden knowledge, Steve. Why let us know about one sliver? It's easier to just clamp down on all of it and lock it down.
Well, if these beings are living tax-free, doing what they want, the greasy bastards that control us, they don't need us acquiring that knowledge, right?
Of course. Otherwise, we might not be so malleable into their plans.
Well, they'd be upside down over flames.
Right.
Right. But anyway, another topic, right? But anyway, I'll get back to the goofy end of it when you asked me, how do they travel?
Sure. So
leading up to me having to accept all this absolute crazy shit going on directly linked with the topic, here's a couple examples of what I had happen firsthand. Okay. So we're younger. We're in that you can look it up online, the Pemberton Valley. We're up there. I built this great big 14-foot tall stand way back in this woods in this swamp, creepy ass place to hunt bears. And I was guiding bear hunts there for a bit. And me and a couple of buddies, we go sit up there on a Friday after work in the evening until dark. We drink beer and shoot the shit and watch stuff going by. And then we'd have to drive home along logging roads. And anyway, and we typically hunted with bows and arrows. And at that time, I had a lot of bears coming in my yard, actually coming on my porch. And I'd unscrew the tip off of my arrowhead and I'd shoot them in the ass. So it would bounce off them to get them out of my yard.
Yeah.
Right. So meanwhile, I'd had this other bow given to me as a tip from a bow manufacturer and TV show I guided. And it was far more powerful, but I didn't even think about it at the time. And we're driving down the logging road and there's this bear on the side of the road. He's not scared of shit. And there's a lot of poachers that come up from I'm just going to say it. There's a shit pile of Asian poachers coming up from Vancouver to cut gallbladders and paws off these things. And we're after those guys all the time.
Oh, damn.
It's crazy. But anyway,
oh,
I mean, come on. You got a little pecker? Accept it. A bear paw ain't going to make it bigger. So anyway, this thing's on the side of the road. And I go, hold on, watch this. We had a couple of beers. And I unscrewed the tip off my arrow. And I went to shoot this thing in the ass and give him a little education to stay away from pickup trucks on the road. If the arrow didn't stick in his butt cheek.
Oh, God.
Right? Just like the kid that broke the neighbor's window with the baseball. It's like, oh, shit. So this bear takes off with my arrow into the bushes. He's fine. It's just he probably only went an inch. Who knows? Whatever. He went in there and he took off with it. I didn't even go look for it. Get this one. Probably, so that would have been May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. 9 months later. 9 months later, and about maybe four miles down the valley and halfway up the mountainside, I'm on a deactivated logging road on my snowmobile going to trap wolves. We had problem wolves there. And anyways, I'm another topic. Yep. Anyway, I'm on this deactivated logging road with it probably had 5 feet deep of snow on top of that road. Okay.
Damn.
So we're talking 9 months later, we'll call it 5 miles away, halfway up the mountainside. And there's that fucking arrow sticking in the snow, dead straight up and down. And it was only stuffed in the snow about 3 inches on top of 5 feet of snow, and not one other track on that road ever before the whole winter. There it is. Right in front of me.
Crazy. I mean,
what the fuck, right?
Like, yeah.
Right. Anyway, moving along. So that was one of my, I think by then I'd understood something really crazy is going on with these beings anyway, by then. Mm-hmm. How about this one? This is recent. So now about maybe 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I go way up northern BC by myself. I'm going hunting. And it was snowing. There's about a foot of snow on the ground, maybe 2 feet of snow on the ground. I had a few friends driving up. It's 2 days to get there. I had some friends coming up to meet me. I'm on my quad. I got my backpack tied onto the back of my quad. And I left, I guess I screwed up and I didn't zip up the back of my backpack. My friends showed up and they go, "Hey, we just found this trail camera on the road back there." And I go, "Shit, that's my trail camera." Then I looked at my backpack. It was unzipped open. So I guess I lost the trail camera, and I lost a custom knife and leather sheath that one of my subscribers custom built for me and mailed to me. I lost that too. And I'm like, "Ah, shit," I felt like such an ass because it was quite the gift. I'm like, "Ah, shit, I lost that knife. Oh my God. I didn't even get to use it. It was brand new, wicked craftsmanship." Yeah.
I mean,
now get this one. And I had a friend of mine, Northern Irish friend of mine. He's got a degree in psychology, worked for me in Whistler for a bunch of years. He's like family now. Very matter of fact guy. And he's with me on this next trip. So now I'm back up there. I lost that knife in November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September that year, following year, we're elk hunting. And as the crow flies, we're about 12 miles away from where I lost that knife. Okay. And that backpack, it's just a soft backpack. I use it all year. I use it steelhead fishing. I use it hiking. I use it doing my trail cameras. I use it all the time. I get home, I empty the shit out of it on the bench in the shop. I use it all the time.
Yep. I'm with you.
I probably emptied that backpack 15, 20 times easy. So we're in camp. I've got my routine in the morning. I open up my backpack. I put in my rain gear, put in my snacks, my knife, couple trail cameras, the shit I need for the day, and off we go. Every single day I go into that backpack and load it up or unload it. So we go off hunting. We're down this deactivated road, split up, drop my buddy off up on the top rows here, just slowly hunt your way down to the bottom here, and we'll hook up right over here. I'm sitting there with my quad. The quad's inside of me the whole time, and it's about 10 in the morning, and it's getting hot out. It's early September. And I'm going to go open up my backpack. Now that my buddy got down there, we're going to have early lunch, water. And I open up my backpack, and here's that knife on top of everything in my backpack so that I would see it the second I unzipped it. And there's my knife staring at me.
Oh my God.
And it was stained. It still had mud caked to it. You could tell it'd been sitting in dirt forever. And all stained up with some dirt still on it. And it's sitting on top of my shit, staring me in the face when I just unzipped it and looked. I'm like,
so you'd woke up that day, packed everything, zipped it up, went to where you were going, and then where were you traveling to? Tell me what was the journey between packing the bag and opening the bag?
So typically we got camp, right? We got our tents and our pickup trucks and trailers and shit. So we leave there on the quad, and I'm doubling, and then we go off of the main road onto an old cut line, down the trail. We go in the bottom of the valley.
Yeah, that is wild. Because
now, but don't get me wrong. Like I shared that video, I shared that story on my channel.
Oh wait,
And
I'm
I
not
had
done. But we need to pull this apart a little bit more, Steve, because when we think about the things we can't explain, right? Let's just call it the supernatural, just for argument's sake. There is beyond the realm of explanation in this story with the knife. And they want you to know this. They want you to have no explanation. Do you understand? Because you've come so far now, your ability to comprehend what is happening, the bar's been lifted. And now they're showing you things more and more that you can handle that are beyond explaining. Because it's one thing seeing a hairy guy in the woods, right? But it's quite another for a knife to manifest impossibly to known science, right?
Well,
So
could you imagine being me at that moment? Can you imagine being just for that little display? Can you imagine being me and witnessing that?
I think you would have been sent right back to that mindset of how do I tell people about this for the
Oh, I
first
got
time
no
in a long
problem
time.
there. No problem
Right?
now.
Yeah. No,
But
now I'm with you. But that's incredible. What was the moment like for you, Steve?
well, like I shared that moment on my YouTube channel, and of course you got the warm fuzzy side of the audience going, just be grateful they did that for you. Just thank them. You should have just said thanks. And I'm like, okay, listen, you dumbasses. And they're going, quit being so angry about it. I go, I'm not angry. What I'm telling you right now is something made my knife appear in my backpack, and my brain doesn't go, oh, it's a 10-foot tall hairy guy. It's
Good.
impossible to do that. But what I'm telling you is either somebody just showed me something that they can do. I don't know if it's negative in delivery or not. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hey, just so you know, check this shit out. I mean, who did it? I don't have a clue. How did it happen? I don't have a freaking clue. Was it meant to show me a slight threat going, hey, we can put this in your backpack. We can put it up your ass in your tent too if we wanted to. I don't know. Was it doing me a favor? I think so. I hope so. But who and how? You tell me.
It's about the gesture, Steve. It's not about the item. It's about the gesture. It's about the returning of a lost item in a way that was in your backpack. You could never have missed it. It was going to be there. It's definitely not a threat. And it's certainly based around you understanding there's more to this.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like see, look, it's okay. It's okay. That's the sort of vibe I get from what you're saying. And I can't wait to hear more, Steve. I can't wait to hear more.
It gets way better. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck. I've had personally, I've seen these people. Oh God, I've seen them one, two, three, four times for sure, maybe 5 times over my lifetime. But you got to understand too, I'm not out there looking for them. I put that to rest when I had that log bashed into that tree. I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm good. Every single time I go in the woods, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, I don't need to prove myself to anybody about my career, but every single time, I mean, I'm going in the woods, in the dark, up the mountain, in the coastal mountains, in the dark by myself for 2 hours just to get to where I'm going to go hunting for the day without a flashlight, because you can see better without a flashlight. But anyway, every time I go, look, I know you're here. You know I'm here. Just leave me the fuck alone. I'm not into this shit. Leave me alone. So I've been like fending it off. We'll get into that end of it too a little later. Like, I can obviously start babbling about a few different slices of this topic. But anyway, where was I? I was going to answer something else you asked me a minute ago. Damn it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think our own human minds, right? When you hear something that large smacking off a tree, right? Like, we often recoil and we're like, well, that's a bit much for me, right? But if you break it down, right? If you were a 9 foot tall, like Goliath, and that tree stump that is huge to us is nothing to you, do you think perhaps, as opposed to saying, hey, leave me alone, you could kind of be like, hey, well, I'll tell you what, I won't call you, you call me. And we'll see if you've got anything, if there's any, like, if you got a message for Steve while Steve's out, Steven, let's hear it. Because I think there's a lot more. And also, this whole world, Steve, is so buried in free will. You could be the chosen one, Steve. You could be the damn chosen one. Until you accept it, nothing's going to change, right?
No, that position's been filled on YouTube. There's like 50 people who telling us they're the chosen ones. It's already done.
I don't mean the chosen one in any great sense. I just mean it metaphorically. Like, when these things start happening, it's often for a reason, and we have to either take the step and allow it to happen and invite it in, or we close it off completely. There's very rarely a let's just peek past the door. And
Well, I
I
get
think
it. I mean, that all relates to how I am. Here I am, right? I mean, my
yeah,
whole life without asking for it. Next thing you know, I'm the most watched frickin' channel on the planet
hell
on the
yeah, man.
topic without trying.
That's
So
it.
obviously, it's meant to be, right?
Well, that's it. But you need to answer that as well, right?
Mm.
Because if we're talking about a force that we can't understand, realms of science we can't understand, then we have to throw in the possibility of destiny and people being picked to deliver messages and all that kind of stuff. And it
Yeah.
sounds a bit hocus pocus and a bit mad, but literally we are just like the little squishy pink thing in our head. We don't even use all of it. We haven't even
I
figured out
know.
how to use all of that. So it's incredible how much you've embraced the unknown, because it's not about knowing, it's about accepting its reality and knowing that we're never going to know everything, and sort of embracing and living in harmony with it, Steve. So tell me more, Steve. Come on, we're
Yeah,
continue
yeah.
with your story, bro. The
I got a
knife.
good one. I got a real good one I can share with you. But first, it's like for me right now, I'm obviously, and you too. I'm so pissed off that we've been lied to. I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
want to die and go, ah, yeah, bastards, you got me.
yeah.
Shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to die that way. I want to know now. I don't want the bastards to get me all the way to the end.
Well, here's the thing: you do know now. The problem is our human condition is waiting for someone else to acknowledge that what or to validate what we're saying. We need to
Mm.
let go of this third party validation and just focus entirely
Yeah.
on. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
And
I keep trying to tell the viewers on my channel, I go, look, one of our biggest fuck ups is being put in that classroom and taught to shut up and listen to that person at the head of the class. We don't even know who they are,
right,
and ask them if we
right,
can go take a shit.
right, dude. We are so on the same page,
Right.
Steve. I'm still here, by the way. I'm just
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah. Like the worst thing, people, we had to phone the cops. We got to let the government know. We need the government to acknowledge it. When are you
No,
guys going to stop? No, you don't. You got to kick them to the curb. It's enemy number one. They do not,
yeah.
they're not here
Oh,
for you.
you're in the right place, Steve. This whole channel is completely this.
Yeah. Like,
Oh,
can you imagine me? We need the government. What the fuck did you just say? Don't ever say that again. That's a
right.
four-letter word combined with the government. Need. Fuck them. But anyway,
Yeah. Well,
okay,
here's the
let's.
thing. Let's focus on the lie, right? And let's broaden the lie for a second, right? But we're going to leave out the regular political stuff. Let's look at cryptids, Bigfoots, aliens, all of that stuff, because I feel like it all might not all be super directly linked, but it's all in the same wheelhouse, right? Because
I don't think we can. I think
cover up,
every
be
single
covering up.
thing in our existence is connected.
Well, what I mean is, we might have some cryptids and paranormal events that have nothing to do with other paranormal events. So what
Gotcha.
we'll have let's just get real baseline. So ghosts, spirits of dead people, but then we also have things that have never lived and never been a solid entity.
Yeah, we
Then we've
definitely have
got
a handful of flavors to choose from.
interdimensional, and then all of that. So it's all connected, but some of these things don't necessarily have nothing to do with each other or tie in together. If that
Yeah, for
but it's
sure.
all one big stew of lies and cover up. The lost
Mhm.
knowledge, Steve. It's the forbidden. It's the forbidden. They used to burn people like you and me, right, for talking about stuff like this to stakes in that, bro. They made sure humanity ain't going to talk about. Oh well, little Timmy can move this with his mind, and oh, there's a bear man that lives over there, and there's a wolf man here. People were just they made sure of it, bro, and it just stuck with us for centuries. It
They're
stuck
witches.
bro. Witches and
Burn them.
proud, baby. Witches and proud. Come and try and burn me, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
So it's one of them. But take us through your understanding of the big lie and why you think it's so heavy in
Ooh,
society.
I don't know, man. You know what? I mean, we got to get back to. We got to. I have to mention the nuclear scientists. Don't forget that. All right. Anyway.
Oh, you know that's
Um,
so weird that you say that because somebody says, Ron, ask about the sightings around nuclear facilities.
yeah.
So that was somebody you were tapping into
Oh, yeah, I
Mike's
keep
brain
forgetting
there.
we're live. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
people
man.
watching, huh?
Yeah, man. It's fascinating, but when it comes specifically to all of this, and it's paranormal and occult, it always seems to be aliens, Bigfoot, ghosts, and then witches, magic, and horrors, right? That kind of all circulate around each other. And when it comes to Bigfoot specifically, when it comes to like the park rangers and the people that you must deal with, who deal with the hunting and the forestry and what blah blah blah, the wildlife, the nature, like what is their take on it all? Are they? Have you heard any stories, or are they just
Oh,
ignoring?
you
To,
got, we've got forestry workers in the United States who had to sign NDAs
Hmm.
after they packed off a smoking burn victim that wasn't a human. Had a few of those guys
Wow,
email me. Dude,
wow.
the shit that I've heard that I've had emailed to me, but
Let's dial in on that. So massive forest fire, right?
Mount St.
Bunch of stuff,
Helens
yeah, bunch of
eruption.
stuff gets burnt, as you would. How many like how prevalent do you think that is, Steve? It must be pretty, like there must, because when you think about it, makes sense, right? Makes
It does,
sense.
but
Big
it doesn't.
forest burns
Because
down.
once you understand just what these beings can pull off, how the
Okay.
fuck did they get caught in a forest fire? That's so primitive compared
Maybe,
to what they could
maybe,
do.
maybe he was a bad one. Maybe back home he
Yeah.
was the Diddy of the Bigfoot world, and they were like, "We got to get rid of Steve, man. Steve's got to go. We need to tie him to a
The
tree,
Diddy of the Bigfoot world.
light a match." Okay, but
Yeah.
you don't know, right? Because if they're we've got to assume that every society is going to have some traits that we can relate to, right? And there's
Mhm.
obviously going to be that one. Maybe he was just he wasn't the smart one, Steve. Do you know what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
saying? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe
Well,
he lost a bet, Steve. Maybe he lost a bet, right? We don't know. But
maybe
it's
they
weird.
got maybe they got that Achilles heel. You know, I had a woman on here today, a great lady, and she was explaining to me she had these things around her property for like 18 years. She's giving cookies and stuff all the time.
Hell yeah, she is.
And she was an old hippie girl too, and radio show host back in the day. And I stopped her for a second. And I go, "You should have gave her some pot brownies. I wonder what the reaction would have been with that one." You know what I mean?
Do you know what? That's for science, Steve. For science, that is now your side quest. All right,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is now your side quest.
But getting back to possibly Achilles, who knows? I mean, who knows? Maybe some of these beings can get a hold of a 40-pounder of whiskey and have a drunk night one night, and then they got
Right?
caught and they rubbed out
Exactly.
their skills, and they got caught in a forest fire. Who knows, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, we've got to imagine it's not like there's one or two of these things. So
No
it's got to be a
shit.
huge population, and there's definitely going to be a smart scale, I would imagine. So it's not out of the question. But here's the thing: when we talk about the bodies and the burning, right, it's very different than a natural death and a decomposition and a or taking away of the bodies and stuff like that. So when it comes to finding the burnt bodies, that makes so much sense because no one can get in to retrieve their dead and there's no decomposition. And I would imagine they're quite tough, right? They look tough. Do you know what I'm saying? So how much damage is heat going to do? Like, just how much is going to be identifiable compared to if you and I stood in the middle of a blazing inferno for a week, Steve? I imagine we'd be sweeping you and I up in a pan,
Right?
right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's so many things attributed to. I mean, it gets so confusing when you're trying to make sense out of it.
Mhm,
There's so many conflicting
mhm,
characteristics that I'm trying to make sense of for myself because I know so much about the natural world. It's stupid, our
mhm.
natural world that we've been
Yeah,
allowed to observe. But
yeah.
let me get to this. Let me get to the nuclear scientist that got a hold of me a few years back. This is gonna freak you out.
Oh,
And again, so this
I'm
guy
ready.
gets a hold of me, and you know what? I've had high up American commanders. One, he made me a Proton emailed it to me, told me how to change the sign in, and then we went on talking for months, and he didn't want me to share anything online. Like the people that have emailed me, you wouldn't believe it. Anyway, so this one guy gets a hold. I found
And
this
you don't
email.
think you're chosen. You don't think there's a weird higher force here, Steve, right? That's when, okay, yeah, Steve can handle this. You don't get the, because I just wanted to make camping videos when I came to YouTube. I was doing bushcraft and survival out in the woods, walking for days like you, for hours in the nighttime. None of it. I was doing all the same on a very wish.com version, though, Steve. Like humanity was about 40 minutes that way. Okay. I wasn't where you were. I was the
Right.
wish.com version of that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the people find themselves on paths they never chose themselves to go on. Right.
Almost every
And
one of them.
it's almost like the more you push against it, the worse off you are. It's once you accept and start taking the steps forward. So one last thing I want to say, and then you can get back to your story. When you're saying there's so much you don't understand, we don't have to understand. We just need to accept and move forward with it, because we will you could take one thing you don't understand and die trying to figure that out and make that your life's work. When really, do we need to understand it? We just need to believe it's there and then see what the next step is. So that's all. That would be my advice on there.
It's good advice. It's good advice, obviously, right? Very good advice. Because once you accept, then the knowledge just starts freaking dumping on you, right?
It's
like you said, I mean, there's been people on that note. There's been so many of the so-called previous big names. They spent their entire lives obsessed with Bigfoot, and they died obsessed with Bigfoot. Nothing changed, you know. But anyway, listen to this. So this guy emails me out of the blue, and he says, I forget how it was worded, but another thing too, I've saved every single email that's ever come into me.
Nice.
That's single
a book,
one.
Man. That's a book waiting to happen. Like,
I've already got one out, and I'm 3/4 way through the next one. I got two more in mind. But anyway, yeah, I think I've got around 40,000 emails in now.
Wow.
What the fuck? Anyway, right? So anyway,
the guy's just released hunting apps. He's like, this is going to be my life now. This is my life. And then the world just went, actually, Steve, we're really sorry to break this to you. We've got a massive plan for you. And we've got, you can still go outside, Steve. Don't worry. You can still go outside, but new path activated.
Yeah. Guess what you're going to do every day now? So anyway, well, that's another thing too, because of all those absolute, I don't give a shit what I say. These guys are shitbags. The absolute shitbags put forth such an effort to try to shut me up in the beginning. And at the time, I got nothing to lose. And I'm a fighter by nature. I'm like, fucking bring it on, you pieces of shit. You're not going to win.
Yeah.
And as soon as they try to stop me, obviously they know I'm telling you're telling the truth. And as soon as they try to stop me, I'm like, now you just fucked yourselves. I will never, ever stop.
Oh yeah.
And if I say I'm going to do something, I'm one of those idiots who does it and make sure I do it anyway. And I said, I'll get every single voice heard, word for word. You're not going to stop me. So now it's just like brushing your teeth in the morning. I get up and I make sure I share as many emails as I can in the morning, and I carry on my day, and I make sure I keep doing it.
Hell yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, your brain must have been blown when you got to 1,000 emails, 2,000 emails, and you're like, when is this going to stop? And then you realize that all of those emails on one side of the scale and the lies on the other, right? And now you must be like, okay, what's the reason for the lie? What is happening? And I believe the answer lies in, if we know these things exist and they have to acknowledge a possibly interdimensional, what? Then it's just the domino's going to fall, Steve. Do you know what I'm saying? Domino's is going to fall. Dogman's going to come out and be like, "What's up?" out of the woods, right? Because now it's the time for the cryptids, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like it's a prevention of the other 99% of the story that ties in with our hairy compadres?
Well, we'll touch on that because I got a good answer for that in a little bit, all right?
Okay, I'm here.
Let's get to the nuclear scientists. We're going to build up to that.
I'm going to be quiet. You're going to talk. I'm going to mute myself.
So I got this guy emails me, and he just said he needed to talk to somebody. But now that I look back, it's almost like you said, they're waiting for the right guy. I think they're waiting for the right guy. And he just opened up with a bit of a bullshit delivery. Now that I look at what they've shared with me. And so this is a nuclear scientist. He told me where he met his wife, his kid. Turns out they lived right near me on the Vancouver Island his wife originated from. Who his kid is, everything. But one thing about the nuclear scientist group, it's a close-knit, small group, and they're global, and they're all connected, and they all got targets on their asses. They're running like scared chickens in the chicken yard. Obviously, you know how many scientists have been popped around the globe?
Yeah. It's like 11 or 12 now, right? Missing and popped.
Well, that's just recent.
That's just off the new little group of them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So these guys are shitting themselves. But anyways, he's getting on there in life. And now listen to this one. Fully vetted him. He's from the UK. And how it started for him. First off, he told me, he's given me reports that the scientists put together on what they discovered about these beings, because these scientists and nuclear energy sites and nuclear missile sites have been observed by these beings who fit the description to a T for a long time before we started talking about it publicly.
Bro, I think just in case MI6 is listening, right? Allegedly sent Steve documents. Okay, we know, we believe
you know
Steve.
what? I know those pricks are listening, and I always tell them to go fuck himself every chance I get. The odd time I'm making a video, it's like I know you.
We're talking about a play. This is just a script for a play. Okay,
yeah.
I know. Carry on, bro. I'm just.
You know as well as I do. Those filthy pricks are listening, and I know you guys are. Go fuck yourselves, right?
Do you know what the funny thing is, Steve? They've just got a satellite pointed at you. Okay, they're just watching you from technology we don't understand. Okay,
yeah, they are.
Oh, yep, Steve's got his bag packed again. Okay, great. Right, he's off skate. Right, just keep him monitored.
yeah.
But because you got to understand, they're interested in the people who are chosen, Steve.
Oh yeah, they are.
Right? There's a reason why the bullets will fly past you.
Yeah,
right. You'll hear them, and you'll know they're coming, but they ain't going to hit you.
Yeah. I know it's amazing. It's you got to wonder. It's like, okay, how come these pricks are still letting me be here?
Okay, yeah. Please go back to the nuclear scientist. I'm going to be quiet.
So anyway, he's going on his, and it's funny how many I've had people from your country going, there is no Sasquatch in the UK. Like shut up, just dictating it, right? But I don't know how many reports I've had from Scotland, Ireland, Britain, shit piles. Okay, anyway. So he's going on his regular little hike. He's got this hill in this park that he likes to hike in. Brings his tea, and he hiked up the top of this hill. He's off the trail, sits on a rock, and he pulled out his favorite thermos and his tea, and he's sitting there, and he looks over, and here's this 9-10 foot tall, muscle-bound, hair-covered, man-like thing standing there staring at him. And he said the look on its face, looking at him, he said, that guy looked like he wanted to rip my head off the way he's looking at me. And I'm just like, no way. Anyway, this is what he said word for word. This thing starts almost doing a jumping jack move with his body and starts to become translucent from the bottom up. Okay? This carries on.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. Don't worry. I just muted myself in case I derail it, because you and I will derail quickly and go off on another thing. We've got to focus because people are excited.
Well, it's like a couple of kids who knew each other in childhood, and they're just so excited to tell each other all the shit they've learned in the past 25 years. And then, right.
Exactly.
Right? So anyway, then he said he started feeling fuzzy and faint, doesn't know what the hell happened. Now follow this one. He doesn't know what happened. He wakes up at the head of the trail at the bottom of the mountain. He was pissed off because he didn't have his favorite tea thermos with him. He's missing a sock. Both of his shoes are on. I think his undershirt was on backwards. He's feeling absolutely fucked up between the ears and nauseous. Makes his way home, calls his son, and his son was emailing me too. His son comes over. They're sitting there. Get this one. You know when you're flying home into the country and you get that text on your phone, welcome back into whatever?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the United States. Welcome back to Canada. He gets over 35, I think maybe in 40 different countries, rapid fire text his phone at the same time. Welcome back to Barcelona. Welcome back to the UK. Welcome back to Tanzania from around the globe.
Did they ever give you any updates on if the sock ever turned up anywhere?
I don't know.
Because I bet it will. I bet that sock will, like, if he ever, like, that is crazy.
Yeah, we're talking years ago now, but get this one. So then his son's watching this. Him and his son are both watching this. Then what happened? He phones the cell phone company, absolutely pissed, wondering what the hell's going on with my phone, right? All of those texts are still on the phone. He got a call back from the cell phone company, but it wasn't the same person he's talking to. They started asking him weird questions. He's a nuclear scientist. He's insecure as it is. Gets off the phone with the dude, goes to look at his phone, and it's wiped. All those texts are gone. Everything's gone. Anyway, moving along.
Let me just. So, are we basically saying that there's a possibility that at some point this man was taken, bounced around like an IP address, and then returned to the bottom of this. That returned to the bottom of the trail, right? Because in the same way, right? You know how nobody asks for this, right? It's obvious then that that is a display of how they can travel, right? And how they move around. And that's them sort of going, well, there you go. Ignore it if you want. We're trying our best because your politicians are mental, and they've got my like white, they've got Mrs. Sasquatch and little Timmy Sasquatch in a big Sasquatch cage. And if I don't behave myself, it's going to be bad for them. Let's just assume it's something like that, or let's not. You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like that. When you and I hear that, you must go, all right, so that's happened. So he can tell me that so that I can understand the next piece in the puzzle. You've got to start understanding, Steve. Things will happen to people just so they can tell you what's happened to speed up the knowledge bank process.
Oh, I get it. You know what I do? I listen to every single person word for word, no matter what. My gut tells me if it's valid or not. And the real important notes, I got a shelf that I put in the back of my head, and I put that one on that shelf, and I let it simmer until something pops up and meshes up with it. I got so many shelves in my head, it's stupid.
Exactly, mate. It's very important. The brain shelves. I know exactly what you're talking about, mate. Really? I refer to it as data entry, data points. I like to talk about data points. So if you've got multiple data points that are popping up and they just haven't connected yet, Steve, they're just in that little space in the back of your mind. And
can I get this one before we forget? I got to keep going.
Please do.
So these nuclear scientists, they travel the globe, obviously. He's on a military base. You wouldn't believe how many military bases have emailed me, guys, where these things have busted through all the security barriers easily. I've had 2 guys email me. One guy went outside the missile silo. They got these huge 2-foot thick iron doors in this concrete room with CCTV screen looking over the door. Guy goes out for a smoke. He's freaking out. Let me in. There's something out here. And there's 2 rows of 12-foot wire fence with razor wire on top. He comes back in. They look out in the CCT, the security screen, and here's this thing standing there looking up at the camera at him outside the wall. Then it went to beating on the 2-foot thick iron door, and that dented it in. Anyway, I'm just saying, making that mention that I've had so many armed forces from around the globe guys email me and say this thing came in our barrier like nothing. We don't know how it got in there.
Do they not like the nukes, or are they attracted to the read? Like, okay, I'm going to be quiet. So I'll save my questions for the end, Steve.
Well, I'm going to give you guys everything I know, and you can put your own puzzle together for yourself, right? So anyway, now we're getting back to we'll call him Edgar, the nuclear scientist. He's on another, and he said flat out, every single one of us has seen these things multiple times, just so you know, at work. Most of these nuclear scientists have seen these beings multiple times. So here in North America, we got some guys here who I know who obtained 114 different DNA samples from these beings in North America, and I think they got a couple from Europe. Well, guess what? The nuclear scientists let me know that they had over 3,200 DNA samples from these beings well before us worker bees got caught onto it. Anyway, he said that he was on one place where there was a fresh sighting. This thing just escaped over the top of those 12-foot fences like nothing. He decided to take a Geiger counter and go over to the footprints that were in the ground, 20-inch long prints, and they were giving off a reading.
That's wild.
Right?
So, okay, so let's assume this is standardized across all remote locations that have a nuclear facility or a nuclear research facility that is in an isolated place where these things could occur. Is it always where their sort of natural habitat would be, or is there cases where we're talking about a middle of a city, there's no forest, and these things have turned up? Have you ever had any encounter with anything like that?
We've definitely it almost in a way like that's your ego, I guess, trying to almost deny it, but you can't deny it. There's been sightings in cities, inside homes.
Okay.
It's a pattern. Okay. It's a pattern. There's nothing don't shoot the messenger. It's a pattern.
We're so past any of the worries of, is this stage the new stage of the first stage that I can't talk about?
It's got to go somewhere, right?
It's a safe place, right? So first of all, in homes, that's wild. It amazes me because It's got to be for a reason. There's got to be a reason behind that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if
It's
you
kind of
were,
shitty too, though.
well, think about it from your hunting knowledge. Why would you jump out a bush at the thing that you're apparently hunting and stalking to say hello? There'd be a reason, right? You'd have to have a good reason. So I wonder what it is.
It's so, it's all so confusing. But you can't stop. Like it's
Nope.
very, very frustrating to keep digging. It's very frustrating. But you can't stop. What do people get to quit? You don't get nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he also he gave me names of his colleagues who have been killed. I looked them up. He gave me a couple names of scientists that were willing to talk to me, and then they backed out. He gave me the name of one of his best friends, another nuclear scientist, he's forwarding me their email conversations with my name in them. And this other scientist, he said to Edgar, he said, "Well, you're right, Edgar. He's not a researcher. He's a seeker. And it's time we're getting to the age now. It's probably time we share the world what we know. And he's a good candidate to do it through." But anyway, this guy, remember when they first started shelling the nuclear facility in the Ukraine during the war? The first time it went down?
Yeah.
Well, he's basically not kidnapped, but he had to go there and do the work. Amongst other scientists, okay? And you're not allowed to go. Those Russians are keeping you there until you're done. Anyway, he befriends what would be considered an indigenous Russian native who's also a scientist working on the team. And he got to go this guy took this scientist to a First Nations community in Russia, up in the hills. He said that there is a handbook, a notebook, a book in the community where every community member has written down every interaction they've ever had with these hairy people for like generations, right? And I'm reading this email to Edgar from his buddy. This isn't to me.
Yeah.
And he said that first they went and talked to the elders, discussed it. They said, yeah, go ahead. Take him there and take him and introduce him. Go ahead. It's a green light. They take him up to this other hut on the outside edge of the community. And he said that this thing was beside him and he couldn't see it. And he grabbed his hand. He thinks he was touching the thing's leg. And he said it was it felt like it was hard as rock. And he said he felt this hand holding onto his arm. And then he said that it showed him and it turned the temperature, the body temperature of this thing went to basically absolutely freezing. And then a couple seconds later, it went to almost too hot to touch. And now all said, and to back up a bit, these guys are so safety-oriented, obviously, nuclear scientists. Edgar's now got a cancer after his experience with the watch and everything and disappearing. He's got a cancer. And now this other nuclear scientist has a cancer as well after his interaction.
So there may be big radioactive bad boys. And maybe
these guys were. I mean, you can't say they all are, but these guys definitely ran into some grief for sure. But keep in mind, like we're at the 45th flight of stairs of gathering knowledge from where we started at the beginning of the conversation. We just shot from the bottom to the top with a lot in between, right?
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing. If we are talking about a credible eyewitness testimony of touching a cloaked, let's just for layman's term, call it a cloaked Bigfoot, and he felt a solid object, that tells us then that it's whatever they're using to block the barricade it's a physical change. It's not like the fur's invisible and you're like, I can feel what is that furry thing? It's a physical thing. So is that technology? Is that a shield, so to say? It just starts mind-boggling. I don't think so. I think it's a natural thing, right? You talked about the arms and him disappearing and things like this.
Well, get this one. You would believe how many eyewitnesses, and we're talking all fields of professionals. I mean, you name the background of the human being that's emailing me, I've got them.
Well, actually, Emma is very vocal about Scott Carpenter. I don't know who Scott Carpenter is, or tell us about Scott Carpenter. So I don't know if that's anything, or if that could be your next story. But what's your take on the last email you spoke about? What's your take on
the nuclear?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm going to add to it. We've had, I don't know how many, I'm going to guess easily thousands of eyewitnesses reported hearing something walking. Okay, my partner Sarah, she's had the same. We've got these things around right at my house here. There's a lot more stories there. Anyway, like, okay, here's an example. I got a guy in a tree stand in the United States. He's hunting hardwood forest, crusty, frickin' crunchy oak leaves everywhere. He can hear this thing walking right up underneath him to his tree stand. He can't see shit. And this thing's walking all the way a full circle around him, looking up at him, grabs him by the ankle. Can't see nothing.
That's wild. And was it just a grab and go? Was it just a, hey, I'm here and off ski?
Yeah, kind of like give him a grab. That was it. Had another guy in a tree stand. He heard something sneak up behind him. He's 14 feet up, and the thing hawked a loogie on the back of his neck.
Oh, I bet it was a big loogie.
You know
what I'm saying? That ain't no man loogie.
It's just something that I don't need to experience. That's for sure.
Well, you said that you've had things happen around where you are now. Like, do you feel like let's talk about the intention that you feel behind those encounters? So when the last thing that you happened where you felt, I'm in my home, I know one of them's there. What was your feeling that you got from that?
Well, we had so much go on right here. It's a little, well, not really over the top compared to the other shit that I'm hearing from other people, but like, Sarah takes the dogs for a walk down the road, paved road through this park, and she doesn't follow the channel. She's not interested in this topic much at all anymore. She's just she knows what's going on. She just wants to have a happy life.
Yep.
Walking the dogs down the hill, paved road, surrounded by first growth timber, which I think has something to do with a lot. Anyway, something comes rushing right up behind her. Broad day, sunny. Can't see it. She knows it's right behind her. My dog's freaking out. She's freaking out. This thing's right behind my neck. Couldn't see nothing. And anyway, then all of a sudden that disgusting smell that has been reported 50,000 times. Everybody describes it differently. They say it's wet dog crossed with rotting flesh, crossed with rotting blood, crossed with sewage and skunk ass mixed in one. Like, it makes your eyes water. And she described it almost to a T. All of a sudden came out of nowhere. She got the hell out of there. The next time she went down to walk down through there, something's beating on the side of a big fir tree in the timber right next to her. Like, it was so loud, I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe how loud it was. And I'm like, no surprise to me. Then we've got different colored lights in our basement, in the house, in the vaulted ceiling. Call them orbs. I don't give a shit what you call them.
Yeah, orbs, yeah.
Then I'm away. We got a log home here with a vaulted ceiling, and about 20 feet up, 25 feet up, I'm not here. And the side of the roof's getting beat on in the middle of the night. Right? And then the other morning, I go into my horse barn, and there's a perfect eagle feather sitting there on the ground in the hay barn, in the hay stall. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then Sarah says she found 3 different eagle feathers in the egg-laying chicken barn. And now I've got about 40 eagle feathers left in my hay barn.
Have you spoken to anybody who is part of the non-normal realm of science world? Have you spoken to anyone who remote views, or have you spoken to anyone who claims to have abilities that can guide people? Because I think if you haven't, you gotta, because there's something that you're being drawn to that you haven't figured out yet. There's a bigger picture here.
Well, I've talked, oh my God, yeah, you name I've talked.
You have, yeah. Okay,
I've
good.
had numerous people from various parts of North America tell me flat out they know who you are. Just so you know, we're in communication with. They know who you are.
Okay, sick. Good. So you've got everything squared off where all of the answers are there. You've searched. You've had all the approval from the places that you've sought the answer from. So you're there now. Ooh, I wonder what's next, Steve. I wonder what the plan is.
Well, here's the thing, though. For me personally, like, you know what? I've almost grew up a feral child, right? And
That's all right.
I can't stand. I don't like being scared of anything. It bugs me if I'm scared of something or I don't do something. Yep. Like, I've had to go after wounded grizzly bears in thick brush by myself, my hands and knees. I'll do it, right? Yeah. Just as an example. So knowing all that, like, I'm getting dropped off in a bush plane in the middle of fucking nowhere, northern BC, here in a couple months. Yep. No problem. I'll sleep. I've slept on the ground. You look at my channel. I've done it all.
I believe you, bro.
Times. I'm not scared. Why is it? Like, I know I've got ample opportunity to just go up there, make myself available, and say, okay, let's get it on. Let's come on over. Let's sit down and talk. But why is it my gut is screaming, don't do it. Don't do it. Why is that?
Because of thousands of years of programming into our species, right? In the same way as there's instinct in the animal world to not stick your head in the hole, right? If you're a prey animal, don't stick your head in the hole. Probably something in there that's going to eat you. We have got this built into us. Religion and society and the fact that magic, witchcraft, the occult, and the paranormal are all things that masses of people have been slaughtered for talking and believing in throughout history. We have that residual nightmare and trauma hardwired into us. Your brain does not like change. It's a natural thing. And this is the biggest change that your body will be trying to save you from. Because in the same way as we have a snooze button and our brain goes, just hit the button. We don't want change. Just stay here. Your body's reacting to what will be the biggest step forward in your journey, in your spiritual world, in whatever realm, whatever way you need to sell it in your head for you not to be cringy, that path. Okay. And until you verbally announce that you're ready to take that step forward, these powers will never give you more than you can handle. They'll just keep themselves in your loop. You know what I'm saying? Like a friend that phones you twice a year and goes, hey, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's like that. Sometimes it's shocking because we fear the unknown. That's hard programmed into us too. We also have our childhoods where we were told, just ignore this. These things aren't real. It reinforces it all. And now you are in the middle of it all. And it's like that particular side of existence in that world is at your door screaming. And they're screaming with like, cookouts and like gifts. They're like, don't be scared, everything's fine. And I think that's the next stage for you, is to just slowly say to them, baby steps, but what comes next, sort of thing,
I think for me too is like I've got a lot of time left in doing what I love to do, and I just don't want it stripped from me. I've seen so many people where their lives have been annihilated. They're like, no way, we don't even go to a park. And I won't. Here's another one too. Side note. You wouldn't believe how many fathers, which gives me fuel to do what I'm doing, because it just pisses me off, these greasy bastards making sure we don't have the knowledge. But you wouldn't believe how many fathers have emailed me and said, dude, I'm the worst father in the world. It drives me insane. I'm the worst father in the world. My kids hate me because I can't let them play in the yard without me staring at them, and I got a gun behind the door. I can't do it.
Well, here's the thing, right? We need to ask ourselves, are we fearing what we don't understand? Are we fearing the unknown? Or are we reacting based off of because he's already lost 2 children to an unknown force? Because 9 times out of 10, it falls on the unknown, right? Because we would see a stone landing at our feet being thrown in our yard as an act of aggression. But what if you're not ready to see the wonders out there because they smell and they're a bit scary and they're tall and they're intimidating? So what if that stone is a way for you to be able to relate the most fundamental form of communication or interaction, which is, hey, I'm over here? Because I'll tell you this, I'm pretty sure that rock would have went through your head like a 50 cal, right? If that was their intention. Do you see what I mean? So it's how we interpret their actions.
Well, it's another confusing thing. From what I know now, and what we've learned together on my channel and other places, if one of these beings decided to one night go into a rural community and see how many human beings he could kill, before he decided to disappear in the forest, he'd probably wipe out the whole freaking town. He goes blow right through the side of that house, kill everybody in it in about less than 10 seconds, and go to the next one. Why don't they do that?
Yeah, it would low key be like the stories you hear of the Wookiees just pulling people's arms off, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's one of them. But that's the thing, right? Like, we have horrors, we hear horrible stories, we hear horrors of people being chased and all of this, and then there's a whole bunch of people that go missing in these sort of wilderness areas. Some turn up alive, some don't. But then there's also moments where they're alive, but where they've ended up and being found doesn't make any sense, right? Because if you've been missing for 10 hours and you're a 9-year-old, how have you gotten X amount of hundreds of miles away from where you were taken and suddenly just appear, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you were saying about the guy who got all those emails or all of the notifications saying that he's entered these countries, and then that getting wiped. And then you've got the nuclear scientists who apparently their nuclear whatever they're working on ain't as secret as the fact that the nature and the wildlife aren't as secret as what they're working on. Because if you can you touch a little bit on the urban experiences, the urban stories where people have appeared in their bedrooms or they've appeared in places where you're like, mate, I've already moved from the woods. I work at Walmart now. I couldn't be any more industrial, but these things are popping up in places that.
Yeah. I mean,
really
you know what? In a way, not now, but earlier, be like, it's almost hard to admit it, but you're going to have to because it's happened. I've had it emailed to me so many times from unrelated people around the globe. They're in their bedroom and they feel absolute terror in their chest. Something's up. They don't feel right. And they wake up and this thing is standing at the foot of their bed, or it's standing in the corner of the room, or it's looking out at the end of the hallway in the house and absolutely rips through a wall and vanishes.
See, is that a sign of them further dipping their toe? Like if they kept it in the woods till now, and now they're like, well, you've been coming into my home, the woods, for so long. Let's dip our toe in their woods and see what happens.
Well, I know one thing for certain is and the word on the street from the people who allegedly communicate with them to a point, they've said that once they know that they all know you know.
Okay. You're in the database.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. You couldn't believe how many people have seen this shit. They're upset. They wish they didn't, and it keeps happening, and they wish it would stop.
How much does religion, do you think, play a factor in people's denial and their fear of this?
Oh, well, that's an easy one to answer all across the board, right?
Well, it is, right? Because, and it kind of makes you wonder how before the big three religions were founded, the whole world was exactly what you're talking about. It was fire gods and pixies and the hairy man and all of this. And then all of a sudden they went, nah, they're all demons now. And if you mention it, burning time.
Man, what an effective tool. And it's going on today in our face every day.
Yes.
With everything.
Yes. So now we have to then go further down this is what I'm going to die trying to figure this out, right? Because then we have to assume all of this was then planned thousands of years ago as a control method for what it is that we are trying to figure out right now and what they're hiding, right? No big deal. Just the secrets of the universe, Steve. No problem. No big deal. No biggie. Good luck with that. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to share a couple more stories that are going to help a lot of people, possibly. Like what I tell everybody on my channel, I go, look, first off, listen to what everybody's got to say, no matter how strongly you feel about it. Don't just kick that shit aside and make sure you listen to everyone. Let your gut decide what's valid or not. Take from it what you will or leave it, but don't blow a gasket and start insulting people because you can't pick it up. Whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so we have a sweetheart of a lady named Dr. Melba Ketchum. Okay, now follow me on this one. Okay. So way back in the day, Scott Carpenter, a few other people, they all got together, formed a team, and they acquired 114 different DNA samples from around North America. Okay? Legitimate. Yeah. Then they found one of the leading scientists whose testimony put people in court for many years in the United States from Texas, Dr. Melba Ketchum, and they delivered to her. And she told me at the time, I didn't have a clue about any of this. I'm just getting it. She said that one sample she got delivered to her, she was thinking the cops are going to be coming any day now because this is obviously something to do with a murder, this human chunk of flesh. Okay. Anyway, she did the DNA study on it, and she discovered that the mitochondrial DNA, I might not word this perfectly smoothly to my friend Rob Duvall and everybody out there who is tight with her. Sometimes I don't relay it word for word. My brain doesn't mesh up my lips perfect, but close enough.
Take a damn bear down with your bare hands, though, Steve. Okay, so don't worry. Okay.
Yeah. So she did the DNA analysis. It all comes out exactly the same. It's original, modern human female on one side, the mitochondrial, and unknown male on the male side. 100% unknown male. Okay. Anyway, she gets right into this now. Now she's like, oh my God, imagine being in that DNA scientific crew. Getting something brand new is like winning the lottery, right?
Yeah, of course.
Now she's like super stoked, right into this. diving all the way in. She's writing up the paper. Well, guess who went to annihilating her life? A bunch of the so-called original big names in the Bigfoot world that we're allowed to have on that were on TV presenting to the herd nonstop. Those filthy bastards. And guess who else? The Vatican played a big role in annihilating her career.
Of course. Makes perfect sense. Nothing
Right.
suspicious when the Vatican just turns up, Steve. Okay.
Right. So why is that? You know, like in the end, for me, I mean, obviously, you know, we talk about the spiritual thing and the different religions. For me, just to try to make, like I tell everybody, look, you're filling in your own puzzle. Your ride is your ride, and your puzzle is your puzzle, and you're welcome to come here and get whatever missing pieces you can find. So for my puzzle, right now, I am absolutely firmly convinced that there is a spiritual war going on right now.
Steve, you're in the right place.
Right? Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got the Vatican, who's basically ground central for all things evil,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to squash this truth for being spread to all the minions. Why is that? Why, you know, I ask everybody else, why do you think that is?
It's control, but because they have to have the control, Steve. They can't have us knowing that you and I could communicate with our minds. They want to rent us a mobile phone every month to do that with. They want to strip away the knowledge and the capabilities of us, and they want to convince us that it's only the chosen few and the gifted that can do this. Well, I'm here to tell you people, it's the same as blinking and breathing. We all have it in us. You've all heard the people talking about it. It's within you. It's within you. It is. But it all bases itself off of your will and intent and your belief in your capabilities. And it keeps talking, Steve, because I'm telling you, bro. Telling you.
Right? It's the journey, man. But you know what? Sometimes along your journey, I'll be going like, fuck. Can you imagine how comfortable it must be to just agree with being a window licker?
Oh my, Steve. I often say this. No, I often say if I could rent ignorance for a weekend, right? That would be the best weekend of the month, right?
Right.
Could you imagine if all you cared about, Steve, was like your 2 holidays each year? Like what designer product you're buying? Fascinating concept.
And make sure you give me a lifetime of free lube so I can grease it up for you before you come over.
Exactly. Dude, it's so funny because the people that are chosen, right? For a start, the way I identify them is they always come out with, I'm not here to teach you nothing. You're welcome to come on my journey. You're welcome to try the things that I've tried for myself, but I ain't teaching you nothing. Journeys are very, very, they're personal, right? And what works for Steve or what works for me or someone else might not resonate with somebody on their journey. And 100%, Steve, 100%. And
well, dude, at this stage of the game, the second you get somebody in front of you wanting you to listen to them, you better put up a freaking red flag.
Well, here's the thing. There's people who we want to hear from because they're not pushing an agenda, Steve. Do you see what I'm saying? There's people that have agendas, and there's people that they see the by growing an audience, their ability to awaken more people, which, by the way, you don't actually realize that's the journey you're on right now. You're a person that's going to gather up minds and help unlock the minds of the masses. Okay. And I'm assuming there'll be a bunch of other stuff as well. But this is happening to a lot of people. I've been on my journey, Steve, since I was about 7, and it's only all now coming into a very climactic part of my journey. And 2 days ago was one of the biggest moments when it might have been yesterday, actually. I done an interview, and it solidified what the next stage for myself is. And I know I'm being very vague, but there's conversation. Well, because I'm here to hear about you. Okay, I'm here to hear about you, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet. But
maybe I'll have you on mine.
I'm a fascinating guy. I'm a fascinating guy, and it's interesting that you and I are having this conversation. Because Sarah, who is creepy, my creepy producer, has lined up interviews out of nowhere with people. She's lined up interviews, right, out of nowhere with people that, for some reason, there's a bigger reason for the conversations to be taking place, Steve. And I'm very excited to have, first of all, know of your entire mission and existence, and I cannot wait to hear more. And like, keep talking, keep telling us.
That's another question I got. How'd you guys find me?
Sarah, well, Sarah will have to answer. Sarah is my booking producer,
Right.
and she'll send me a message. Go, Ron, I found this guy, right? And she'll just go up, and I'm just like, do it, Sarah, do your thing, and yeah.
Well, here's another thing too, because all the whole journey, like I've been, if you know my whole life story, I mean, my God, I've had so many examples of people that want that, they want that, they want to be followed, they want the power, they want the respect, they want celebrity status, and it's almost made me push back on it fiercely for a long time, to the point I don't know how many podcast invites I denied. I had reality TV producers from the UK where, hey, you want to do a TV show? Are you fucking kidding me? Lose my email, you idiots. You know what I mean? Like, it's been hard.
Well, that's even weirder then. That's even weirder then, Steve. If you reject this usually, and now we're here having this conversation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, how the hell did I say yes to this?
Why is this happening right now? Oh, but yeah, well, this is the thing. This is the thing. And it's just another day at the office, Steve. The soul tribe is growing, right? The weapons and tools are falling into place for the larger picture that will be unveiled. Oh, that's exciting. Well, listen, we need to pretend like we're not more interested in talking about this stuff, and we need to go back to some stories so the side chat doesn't turn on me and they're like, Ron, stop talking about yourself. Okay, we want to hear some more stories, because it will happen, right? And
all right, I got a bunch. It's endless. I could talk here for probably 6 months straight, right? But here's another one, just to give you an idea of some of the, I mean, this is a lesser amazing skill compared to what we've already covered, but with these other scientists, because they've had these nuclear sites have been observed by these beings and from lights in the sky more times than they can count. And it was amazing, especially to have the scientists tell me flat out that every one of these scientists has seen these beings around the globe numerous times each. That was just a in-your-face spat that statement at me. I mean, you want to get somebody's attention. Anyway, so they finally, at one site, they got a couple of scientists said, look, you're going to go study these things. Try to get some study these beings. They had he sent me the report. I got it from these scientists. They knew where these beings were situating themselves, observing them at the nuclear site, and it was 1,500 meters away from them. Okay, 1,500, and they had a plywood box they made for this like makeshift little shield to hide behind and do their little shit. And he said that they had 1/2 a candle power of light hidden behind the box to see what they were doing with whatever they were using to observe and record with. And the one scientist said there's 3 of them, one massive one, 1,500 meters away. And he said that he went above the box and he went like this. He went in the pitch black at 1,500 meters. He said the big one went like this. It was locked on him just like that, 1,500 meters.
It's wild.
What the fuck?
Wild. Yeah, and like you just got to throw known science out the window, and that's what's so amazing about all of this, you know, because it's documented. It's crazy,
but not made public. And if you go public, you're an absolute cuckoo. But I got lots more. Listen to this one.
Yeah.
So then the Dr. Melba Ketchum, she told me she had a DNA sample. I think she got it from East Texas, and had an identical match from northern Saskatchewan.
Right. Northern Saskatchewan. I'm with you. Right. Okay. Right.
So it wasn't no migrating monkey. Right.
Right.
What else? I mean, there's all these little teeny tiny points that I take note of. Obviously, they're coming up in my memory first. But the spiritual warfare and the Vatican coming after her, I mean, that should kind of fill in a few puzzle pieces for a handful of you out there listening. You know what I mean? Get the wheels turning in the right direction. What do you think? Have you looked into this topic? These Bigfoot people, these Sasquatch people, the natives called them the Sabe people. Have you looked into it much yourself?
I mean, I've spoken directly with community members from the like the indigenous cultures of America. Right. There's another word. I just can't remember it. Right. I just cannot remember the correct term. But the real people, the people that were there before we all went there and just like murdered everybody. Right. Not that we murdered everyone. We just joined in with what the murdering that they were doing with each other. It was a whole mess. Right. Those people, yeah, like their long lineage with these Alawan. There you go. And things like this, like, yeah, the hairy man, the wild man, it's in their lifestyle, right? And it was really, colonization that took place and deforestation and the imbalance of man and nature that pushed these things into obscurity, right? It has to be. And what's your, I mean, have you had much conversations with individuals?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of, we call them First Nations people over here.
First Nations, that's the freaking term. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Freaking floundering with my terminology, but the First Nations,
great friends, great First Nations friends, elders too, and they've shared a lot with me how many times I've seen them, but they were raised to do not communicate with them. Don't talk to them. It's a big no-no.
And did you find that standardized across all of the First Nation tribes, or was it different depending on which community we're referring to?
Yeah, well, even another example, I had a guy, he came on my show last week from northern BC, and he was out hunting with a native guy, First Nations guy, and they came around the corner, and here's one of these things standing right there in the middle of the road. And the native guy was driving, and he's like, stop. He goes, no, I'm not stopping. And he didn't want to talk about it. Period. He said, we do not talk about these beings. We can't acknowledge them. Just, it didn't happen. And he was like, this native guy was like stressing right out that he saw one. And he said, do not talk about it. Don't talk about it. I'm not turning around.
Yeah. See, that's concerning.
But then you got other First Nations communities who said that way back before the Europeans showed up, they used to openly trade with them. There's another contradiction, right?
But we've also got to remember, one tribe might be a super cool tribe. They might be like, that looks like something we can trade with and get along with. The other tribes might be a little more spicy, and they might just be like, you look delicious. You're getting it. Do you see what I mean? It's the balance of the mind of man when we bring into the earlier days, right? We have to assume that there's still all these splits. But yeah, carry on, Steve, please.
But getting back to what you're talking about, how they travel, from what I'm learning, just for me, it's like, it's almost as if there is a thinning veil, and that veil thins at different places around the globe that some people, some beings might not have control of. But I think there has got to be something going on right parallel around us. And sometimes that veil's thin enough that somebody can pass through that sucker. Some of them can probably pass through at will and back and forth and nowhere to go to show up to get back in. I don't know, but there is absolutely, without a doubt in my mind, something is going on all around us that we are just not allowed to, or been conditioned to not focus on it.
It has never been thinner. What you're talking about right now has never, ever, ever been thinner. That's why so many more people are waking up. It's not a scary thing. Don't worry, Steve. It's not like the thin piece of saran wrap's going to pop and all of your nightmares are going to come flooding through. This is where people are going to start getting the frequency coming through that allows us to interpret and use and believe in these things that we've been denying so long. And in the same way as throw a stone, I'm here, it's a friendly interaction. Things will unveil when we're capable of really dealing with it all. And that is what is happening globally, bro. And
when are we going to be thoroughly capable of dealing? I want to know that date.
Right. Well, it's happening now. Like people, we genuinely, the people are really believing that we're in the last sort of 18 to 24 months of this level of deniability. Right? Whether it's a big spaceship, whether it's whatever, put whatever analogy you want in here. But where the countdown's ticking, the world powers know it's ticking, and they've no. This isn't a globalistic, capitalistic monster event. This is the unknown universal natures of the force of the galactic universe, shall we say, right? That are coming into play. And I don't know what it means, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm here for the ride, and I know we're all part of it. Okay, it's wild.
Well, apparently we chose to be here for this time before we got here, is the word on the street.
Their time is nigh, says Boo.
Right.
Right? It's crazy. And this is the
But
thing.
you know what? Isn't it amazing the recipe some asshole came up with to
Mhm.
absolutely manipulate us so thoroughly, and the effort they put forward and how effective it has been is amazing.
Well, this is the problem. The only explanation is for control. Because if we were all telepathic superhumans that didn't die of cancer, how can you control that? How can you control a society that is one with each other, a society that is one with nature? Because nature is renewable. So
Yeah, yeah.
we've got to figure out a way of getting something that we can convince everyone that isn't renewable and smash everything down and stack us in little boxes on top of each other
Yeah.
and call it society. Oh, and also, by the way, we're going to tax you for that too, just so you know.
Yeah,
And
because I
it's
don't want to
wild.
work.
It's wild, right? And it's
Fuck, it's
one of
wild.
those.
Yeah.
It's one of those because with the bigger picture is the big picture. And it sounds crazy, but there's reasons why vibrations and frequency have such an effect on us. And the easiest way for me to try and explain all this is, you know, a didgeridoo, the
Yeah.
instrument. You can put a pebble at the end of a didgeridoo and start playing it, and that pebble will levitate within the frequency of that didgeridoo. And they'll do it
What?
with leaf.
No way.
They'll do it with leaves about 2 inches away from the end of the didgeridoo.
Right, I can see
So
that.
now, if we scale that up, Steve, right? If we've now got a didgeridoo that we can put, say, a cinder block in, right, or a bigger piece of concrete, it's just obviously they're not. I'm not talking about aliens with big didgeridoos.
Yeah.
This is just my stupid brain's analogy. If we can do that with a didgeridoo and that frequency, then surely it's just a case of replicating it on a larger scale. And that's what I believe the pyramids and all of these things were used, was this knowledge of frequency. And frequency affects everything, Steve.
Wait a
Have
minute.
you ever,
It
has
wasn't
anyone ever
bamboo scaffolding?
say that? You ever had somebody who knows like things about tuning forks hit a really good tuning fork and
Yeah,
felt the effect of it? How mad is that? Right? Because it happened for the first time about 3 weeks to me. And I felt like I'd had one of those muffins that you wanted to feed to the Bigfoot. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like, it was good. It was a good time.
No
And
shit.
it didn't last long, but it was like 12 seconds of just this going through me. And I'm just saying, okay, how easy it would be to convince the world that none of this is real because of how simplistic it actually is. It's all in you anyway. It's frequency. It's all around us. It just blows my mind.
Well, frequency, energy, vibration is very, very, very real. And the lower we go through life, the easier it is to control, right? You got to raise that freaking vibration up.
Hell yeah, Steve. Steve, I did not expect at the start of this conversation for you to be saying some of the things you're saying at the end of this conversation.
Just
And I love
redneck
it, bro.
hunting guy with the camel
I
hat
love
on.
it, bro. I proper profiled you, bro. And it was like, it's incredible because you say you don't do this very often, right? And obviously that's not a comfort zone for you. And I feel like it feels nice that there's been a shift towards the end of the conversation, because this is the first of many conversations, Steve, and we're not in charge of that. That's just what's going to happen, because there's people you need to meet, whether it's online or offline. They're in my circle, and there's something coming, man. There's something coming, and it's the veil, the frequencies. You know, it sounds tree huggery, it sounds all this craziness, but that is where we're all landing, man. Is we're all having this richer connection to things we can't understand.
Well, another clue for people, which, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people can't see it. I mean, I'm sure you can see it. I can see it plain as day. The panic in the last few years of the dirty bastards is so in your face. The panic.
Bro, I've been saying the same thing, Steve. Like, a lot of the things that are coming out of your mouth are almost word for word things I've been saying for months, if not weeks.
How about this one? It's almost to the point right now. It's almost like the dirty pricks that got these little assholes in a little room with joysticks, and they're going, ramp it up. All right. I'm trying to think of something. Hold on a minute. I know. Okay. I'm gonna get them to argue whether or not a man is a man and a woman's a woman. I'm gonna pull that one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, don't be stupid. You got to use something else. No, I'm pretty sure I can get them to fight with each other over this. Just give me a chance. Just like that.
Yeah, but it just goes on and on and on, bro. Like,
I know.
You know, do you not remember? Hey, we're going to invade Greenland. Okay, no one cares. Hey, we're going to show you some aliens now. Nobody cared. How about release the files and make some arrests? But that's a different show. Okay.
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis? Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like now we're in this global conflict, which again is another topic for another show. But you're right, it is comical levels of distraction tactic.
Unbelievable.
It really, really is.
Unbelievable.
And do you know what's really bizarre? If we boil this down to science level now, right? There's a lot of weird stuff in those files about a lot of weird sciences. And one thing I know about people with a lot of money is they don't like to waste their money, right? So if you're investing billions in time travel, cloning, having conversations about whether proteins are right for time travel, what is going on, Steve? Like, what is going on?
They missed the boat. It's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing how so many of those people missed the boat and just frickin' filling their lives up with love and fun and experience and learning?
Ignorance again, Steve. Right? We're like, just for a weekend. Just for a weekend. Well, listen. Is there any points that you feel like are the most? What's the one thing you wish you were asked more often that you feel like people have that they never really ask you about your experiences with this? Is there moments that are huge to you but sound underwhelming when you explain them throughout your journey?
I don't really get asked too much because I'm rarely in this position to be asked questions, right? I'm like I'm the collector messenger. I'm getting everybody in one place and I'm sharing everything they got to say. So I don't rarely get to answer questions, but I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable right now. I'm at that zone right now where I can absolutely talk about anything with absolute confidence and listen to people. And I know I'm at absolute. Sometimes my lips don't mesh up in my brain smoothly, but I'm cruising along at a level right now. I'm very, very comfortable with what's going on, what I'm learning, what I'm talking about, what I've taken in. And I'm absolutely eager to just keep going and see it through to the end. I'm not hesitating on anything. Am I making sense right now?
You are making perfect sense, bro. Like everyone that's on their journey knows exactly what you're talking about. Like you're at terminal velocity with your beliefs, with where you need to stack up for the next.
My discomfort zone is comfortable now.
Right. That's exactly it, mate. And it's it's going to be exciting, Steve, to see what starts manifesting from your acknowledgement of wanting to take another step, if you ever get to that stage, and that's your journey.
I'm tossing it around. I got an invite to go to Arizona with these guys who are regularly in contact with these beings. Great guys, and they like, come on up. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I would suggest you go under a wing for sure. 100%, because I would. So it would be much safer meeting scary friends of your friends than going off and trying to make friends with something scary. I think that would be a good idea. I think you should make sure you've got a little safety net just for your next, just so that you've nothing to fear. Do you see what I'm saying? Because we can. Do you know what I'm saying? Because what will happen, Steve, is you'll go out there by yourself. The Bigfoot will do nothing wrong, but like two foxes, right, will just start shouting out in the woods, right? And you'll be like, actually, I'm out now, mate. I'm out. You know what I mean? So it's exciting, Steve, to see. If there's one more story you can finish us off with, one more.
What flavor do you want to hear?
Well, I honestly think the nuclear science thing and the whole concept of scientists who got close to them, not having a very good ending. But what's interesting is I wonder if, because your partner said one was behind them and she smelt it, right? I wonder if by keeping the smell in, right, that's what maybe pushes out more radiation from whatever it is that they do to keep themselves.
I was talking with another guy who's very knowledgeable, spent his lifetime diving into this, and I was wondering, I said, you know what, sometimes I wonder if that scent is a residue from them popping through the veil.
It could be, but I'll be honest with you, it would be a scent I would use to repel humans. Like if I wanted to keep humans away, you would make it as just awful. And if people are going, it smells like rotten blood, it smells like this, like that would repel 99% of the world, right?
Yeah. I'd be fart bombing my buddies' pickup trucks all the time. Right. But here's another one. So now that wait, listen to this one. So I know another guy, he's on the mainland British Columbia, just up west of Vancouver, British Columbia. And they're watching this thing in night vision. It's like 4.5 feet, 5 feet wide across the shoulders. Night vision is the green and black display, if you're not familiar with it, okay?
Yeah,
Thermal is always red and black or gray and white and gray. Green, the green one, that's night vision.
Night vision, yeah.
And there's an 8-inch sapling beside this thing. It goes to duck to the left, and its whole body disappears behind the 8-inch sapling as though that was the edge of the wall.
And that's night vision, you were saying, right?
That's how they're observing this thing. And he watched this thing do it. Got another scientist who are original scientists at what's called the Skinwalker Ranch. I don't watch that show. I never have. Apparently, it's been getting blown out of the proportions on TV for ratings.
Okay.
But the other scientists watched this glowing ball hovering above the ground, 8.5 foot tall, hair-covered being, closely resembling that it was supposed to be a Sasquatch, bails out of this glowing white ball, hits the dirt running, and disappears into the forest.
Wait. Riding on a what ball?
It was in a glowing white ball,
bro,
off the ground at that Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay, everyone's just going to have to deal with this now. So, Steve, I had a very profound experience when I was doing my bushcrafting. Right, I got it on film, but this was pre smartphone. Right, this was like we were still on like 480-bit screen resolution. Right, and I'm camping with my dog in the military, the Ministry of Defense's training grounds, because it's public land, but these are the facility. This forest was on the facility and owned by the Ministry of Defense for training the new troops, like if you just joined the army sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I am at this stage an expert in all of the pine forests of Scotland, the all of the natural forests of Scotland. I could just disappear into and I'd be fine. So I know what I'm doing. I know what a freaking quad bike looks like. I know what all this looks like. And I'm sitting there, Steve, and you know when the fucking forest goes quiet, right? And it goes quiet, right? And it's like, all right, my dog's asleep. And I'm looking through layers of new pine forest. This is an ancient forest. Everything's in rows, Steve, right? It's very much a modern forest.
I can see it.
And between where this patch of forest where I'm camping is, there's a big line of grass, and then there's another patch of forest, so that people who are walking and all of that, they've got shit to walk on, right? And in that patch of grass, I see this ball of light, Steve, right? And it's silent, and it's massive, and it's and there's no fear. There is an unsettling amount of how little I am reacting to this. I'm like, why am I not shitting myself? That was the weird thing. And it's like it turned and it kind of pivoted and came towards the trees that I'm in. And it's coming towards me. And there's other little balls of light that seem to be coming out and going around this thing. And I'm trying to film this, right? I get it on camera. There is footage of it somewhere, but we're talking, it's like 8 pixels of this light. And I'm watching it go through the trees, right? It's not going around them, it's going through. And the minute I went, this is too much for me in my head, I don't know what's happening, I start to will the panic. I'm willing what I feel the emotion should be to happen. It was like it stopped and it just reversed the way it came, right? And off it went, and it eventually 17 minutes I filmed and watched this for. It just appeared, it just disappeared back where I had seen it. And then the forest came back to life again, and the dog woke up.
And right? Then who do you tell?
But again, for me, my whole life's been like that. So I'm just like, okay, time to get the stakes on. And off I went back to just doing my thing, because there was no reason to fear it. It was like it made so certain that I wasn't to be afraid of this thing. And when it got too much, it went away. And that was wild, man. That was a wild experience.
Well, you know what? You wouldn't believe how many hundreds upon hundreds of people have emailed me the same experience.
Right.
Hundreds, thousands.
Right.
Another example too is with these hairy people that are running around now and then, them being accompanied by or closely following behind or in front of these bright white lights is so commonly emailed in by eyewitnesses. It's silly. I had a guy email me a little while ago. He's watching this thing down the logged off area. He goes up through the logged off area, gets to the edge of the timber, and 2 balls of light are shoulder height behind it, following it back up into the timber and disappearing with them.
And I mean, depending on which cultures you go to, in Scotland, They're known as the wisp, the will o' the wisp, right? There's these beautiful balls of light that float around, and you know it ain't swamp gas. And if we want to argue that where I was ain't no swamps, well, I mean we're talking as far from swampland as you can get, and that's really interesting because you talking about your partner's experience of the behind the neck, right? And other people's experiences of feeling like a huh at the back of their neck. I have another story about what I call the old man. And I was in the woods with a dog again. And I think I've bent over to pick up some firewood. And as I've stood up, it's like I couldn't feel it, but it was as if I'd hit the back of someone standing up. And then just this and I've just turned around and I've just went, that's obviously some old man in the woods, went about my day, right? And it was like it wasn't not a fear. It was just I wasn't going to fear it. At this point, I was just like, you're going to have to try a lot harder than that, mate, if you're wanting me to move off your patch. But there was never anything else. I just went back to camping. And those are the only two things that I could relate any slight relation to what you've experienced in
you've got a lifetime of shit going down, so you're somewhat sort of ready
for
it in a way. Imagine if you had no clue. Imagine if you're just a freaking minion.
Nah, mate. Well, this is the thing. I don't question it. I just know it's there. I don't need to understand it. They ain't gonna hurt me. I'm pretty secure in this realm from any of the negatives or any of even the positives trying to have a go. So it's
let me share, before I forget, let me share some more, okay, that you guys,
please do,
audience might be find valuable. Okay, you ready for this?
Please do, Steve.
All right, so I don't know how many different people have emailed me this scenario. So here's a guy, I'm going to give you a couple, and the last story is going to be really good. But actually, I'm going to start with this one. So after my grandfather confirmed for me, then just a few years later, I went to University of Victoria, where this biologist, Dr. John Benerneg, was having a thing on Sasquatch. And he was the first person to write a book on the species as it's a known species. But he was still stuck in that unacknowledged upright monkey thing. Anyway, we're sitting there talking away. And then at the end of it, you know, the local newspaper's there talking to him, and I'm standing beside him. And I said, well, you know, people are just scared to talk about it. And here comes this little guy. He was in the back of the crowd. He had a notebook. He had the doctor's book that he bought. And he just came up to me. He waited. He came up to me and John, he goes, I've seen one. And we're like, no way. And you could tell he didn't want any attention. He wanted to wait till nobody's around, shared a story. Now listen to this. And this, for me, was one of my early indicators that something weird's going on. Anyway, he's hunting near Kamloops, British Columbia, up near a place called Cherry Creek. He's up in the timber. Him and his buddy, and they split up. I've never forgotten this story word for word because it had such an impact on me for my journey of looking into it. Anyway, he's looking down this draw from the timber. You can see for a ways 400 or 500 yards, and he's seeing this big black thing going from tree to tree and kind of in view, out of view, in view, out of view. He says, what the hell's that, a moose? And then this is exactly how he delivered it. And then all of a sudden, this thing's right in front of me. And I'm like, what? What do you mean in front of you? Well, it's like right there beside this big spruce tree, like 10 meters away from him. I'm like, no way. He goes, yeah, just standing there looking at me. And he said it had a look on its face of amazement looking at him. He could sell, this thing's the look on his face is like he was amazed looking at me.
I've seen one of those bald, small versions of us.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
But listen to this. So this thing's standing wide open view to him. He's got a 30-06 with a scope on it. 30-06 will punch a moose over, no problem. He goes to putting this rifle scope, points the gun at it, and he goes, I go, how far away were you? He goes, about 10 yards, 15 yards, whatever. And he said that he vividly recalls putting the crosshair from one eyeball to the other eyeball, down to his mouth and back up to his forehead. And I'm like, holy shit. You saw the veins in his eyeballs. He goes, I saw the wrinkles on his forehead. I saw everything.
Wow.
And then he said that all of a sudden it jumped behind the tree like, oh, shit. Jumps behind the tree. It didn't jump from him and his high-power rifle pointing on his forehead. He said that all of a sudden it jumped out of the way, hid behind the tree, and was kind of looking out, like just peeking out like this. And then his buddy comes bouncing up. And his buddy's like, what are you doing? He goes, dude, look at that, look at that. And this guy looks and sees this thing just peeking out. And this guy starts shitting himself. What the fuck is that, right? And he said that his buddy, because I was always trying to figure out how my grandfather snuck up on that thing by accident, how it didn't detect him. And I've always thought they've got some kind of overblown sixth sense they're in control of, and they know we're coming. I'm trying to figure out how the hell are they eluding us. Anyway, this is a puzzle piece for my puzzle. He said that his buddy swung his gun up to look through his scope, and he said the thing really hid behind the tree. And he said when his buddy's gun went down, his gun went up. Then it would look, his whole face would come out and it would look at him. And he said it was almost like we control it with the guns. Buddy puts his gun up, it really hid. He puts his gun down, his gun goes up to look at it, it just popped his head out. And I said, no shit. I go, what was your buddy's demeanor like? Was he a killer? Was he a trigger happy guy? And he goes, oh yeah, he's a killer. I'm like, oh no shit. So I was starting to think to myself, they must have a sense of who we are.
Will and intent is will and intent, right?
Now moving along. Now I got another guy. Actually, he came out fishing with me on the boat. I do a part-time, I do fishing, big ocean fishing off my boat in the summertime here. And all the people from my channel come with me. And this guy comes, he was in Alberta, northern Alberta, working on the pipeline. And they're driving the truck along, sees this 10-foot tall, hairy thing go ripping across the road into the stunted spruce patch. He's like, holy shit. Jumps out of his truck, runs up there. And the second his eyeballs hit that hairy back going away from him, the second his eyeballs hit it and he sees it's not a moose or a grizzly bear, the second his eyeballs realize what he's looking at, the thing stops frozen without facing him. And I don't know, I wouldn't even be able to count how many people I've had email me and tell me the same thing. The second I looked at that thing, it froze. Walking away or running away from them, like froze on a dime. Not when they're just looking at it, but when they realize, oh my God, stops dead, like it knows what you're thinking. Like somehow your frequency is intertangled with its, and it knows, uh-oh, gig's up, it knows what I am. Instantly. What the hell's up with that?
See, that's fascinating.
Right?
That's the stuff that keeps you up at night. Do you know what I mean?
But it also ties into, once they know you know, that's all she wrote. You're in the club of no return, baby, and there's no escaping, and there's no asking to get into it either. You're in.
I mean, your perspective is really interesting too, because of the tracking, the hunting,
right?
The tracking, all of this, right? Because this is your world, bro, right?
Yeah.
So it must be a rare feeling to feel like something could be watching you that you can't really understand or handle, right? What was it like getting past that hurdle when after this all started with you?
Well, I love it too much. I mean, it's my life. If you told me right now I couldn't go out and be in the outdoors, I'd just jump. What am I going to do? Golf? Go shopping?
There's a Netflix series, Steve Integrate. Integrating Steve.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know.
Hilarious.
I think for me at this stage of the game now, I mean, when I leave the house, I know they know. Like for whoever they are, you just have a knowing. When I go to the woods by myself hunting, 110%, I know they know I'm there, without a doubt in my mind. They know I'm here. Whatever, just leave me alone. Let me do what I'm doing. I'm not into this shit right now.
They're always there, right?
Always.
Then they're waiting.
But
they're
where
waiting.
is there? The big question is, where is there?
No, it doesn't matter. You need to focus on what you can do in your journey.
Yeah.
You need to accept the things you'll never understand. They're fun to talk about though, but they're only watching you because they're waiting on you, like fully allowing this to happen. I think this whole realm is so based on free will. It really, really is. And it's going to be interesting, Steve, to see what happens. Like it's going to be, well, this is where the next chapter of your whole existence and story, this is the really interesting one, right? You've done the boot camp, you've done the research, you've done the legwork, you've done it all. And now it's like, it's all coming to fruition in a time of our existence where we're all gearing up for something, Steve. Do you know what I'm saying?
Isn't it amazing to be aware of this?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes, bro. Very amazing. And it's so less of a faux pas or taboo now, man. There's people who are having the same experiences that have no knowledge of each other, no prior existence of their even them being in this world, and they come together and they're like, oh, Cindy, I think you missed the knife story. We had the knife story at the start, unless there's multiple knife stories, but we had the manifestation of the hunting knife, which is unreal. It really is. But it's not unreal, okay? Because we need to stop saying this. I need to stop saying it's unreal because it's so real. And it's so important that we stop questioning the wonders that happen, especially when they're not giving you a reason to fear them. Do you see what I mean? Like, if it was just about scaring you off that day with a log on the tree, they wouldn't be watching you now. It's not like you're out there hunting or actively doing anything to destroy them.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So there's a reason, bro. There's a reason. Okay.
There's a reason, all right.
Hell yeah.
There's a
And
reason.
You know what it is, but you just don't want to take the step yet.
I know.
Oh,
Well, you know what? I always laugh if we finally were in tune and I mean, I don't understand like the different I try to look at similarities between
yeah.
between human beings that are having these experiences, and it's right across the board. The only thing I don't know for sure is if it's truly good souls or any evil souls are having these experiences. Like, I don't know of any evil souls.
Okay.
I don't even know how I'd be able to tell if an evil soul had an experience with one of these people. That's a
Well,
question I've got.
listen, you've tapped into now my wealth of knowledge here, Steve, right? So we have good and bad in the world, right? It exists. It's the yin and the yang. The stag, it gets eaten by the wolf. Great for the wolf, bad for the stag. It's the balance, right? Evil doesn't exist in nature. It's the manifestation of the act of man. Okay. And the people that are capable, the bloodlines, the cabal of these horrific acts, they're not like you and I, Steve. They don't have the capability of loving as we know it.
Oh God.
And it's a very scary world because on one hand, you've got thousands of years of preconditioning that all this doesn't exist. But when you come to realize this is all that matters, is what has been hidden from us, we question whether or not are we ready yet? But we are. You just have to stay firm in that belief that we don't need to understand it all. You know, and another thing as well, a lot of what we think we understand is other people explaining things to us that we've not actually tried, experienced, or tested ourselves, right? Yeah. So why is things not shooting up in spring, right? Why is that not as magical as it is into some people? Why is there's so much subtleties and magic in nature that the things that we've been allowed to see that are just truly incredible, we're so used to seeing, we're so used to nature doing its thing, but we forget we were completely in balance with this at one point and it was stripped from us. And it's something we all need to really consider reconnecting with. I spent a lot of time the whole reason I came to YouTube years ago, Steve, was bushcraft and going out and learning not to die. That was the whole mission, was like, okay, I can pick 5 things. I can pick 5 things. I'm gonna try not to die. You can pick 5 things, and that includes a sleep system or a fire starting tool or a cutting edge or whatever. 5 things, 48 hours, off you go. I loved that stuff. Do you know how many shelters I've made out of duct tape and bin liners, right? Just to see if I can do it, right? It was never really about the glamping. It was about, for some reason, I had this for 3.5 years. I've done this, and I'm sleeping in the wild at least 2 or 3 nights a week. You know what I'm saying? And I loved it. Listen, I was a city boy about to start a family.
Okay, there you go.
You know, I was waiting for my missus to fall asleep, and I would leave at 10 o'clock at night and come back by 11 in the morning, just so I could, do you know what I mean? Just so that I could go and just build on these skill sets and the connection and the tranquility and the wonders of nature are just sadly something that I think we have forgotten as a race.
Really. Nature is absolutely unfrickin' believable.
Yeah,
right? Unbelievable. My God. You should take to the next level. I'll show you where to go. I'll get you dropped off in a bush plane by yourself in north central BC.
Bro,
you'll have a good time.
Do you know what? I would let the fear in for about 60 seconds. I was like, okay, I'm going to stand here in complete terror, and then we're getting on with the day, baby.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Because after that minute, there ain't nothing I can do about it. Steve ain't coming back, okay? Steve ain't coming back. So you just have to get on with it, man, right? But luckily, at any point, any human is the most dangerous thing in any of our wilderness. Like, the worst thing you've got to deal with is a badger. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe a badger with TB will come out of the woods and bite you. That's about as scary as it gets here. Like, you guys have got bears, right? You got some big nasty snakes. You got like a whole bunch of wolves and cougars. Like, it would be a different environment completely, for sure.
Yeah, grizzly bear kind of up and sniffing your balls in your sleeping bag in the middle of the night.
Nah. Oh, I'll be leaving my balls at home. I'm not taking them out with me. I'll be leaving them at home, man. I don't need anything ripping them off in the wilderness. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Well, listen, we're getting to almost that 2.5 hour mark, man. And it's been,
What?
it's been
Seriously?
yeah, 2.5 hours, bro. 2.5.
Oh my God, we're gonna drive everybody nuts. I just did one that long the other day, and they're like, I don't got time to watch this shit.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's people are drawn to this. The right people are drawn to this, Steve. And this is, like I say, this is definitely going to be the first of a few interactions. I'll make sure Sarah sends over the information of how we can just sort of bash some ideas around and have some further discussions for sure.
For sure. I'm a sponge, right? So I'm looking forward to soaking up some knowledge from across the pond for sure.
Hell yeah, brother.
When it comes to this waking moment, holy shit.
Well, this is it. And there's a lot of pieces that you're searching for that are like entirely my wheelhouse. Oh yeah, Fifi's like another thing as well. I'm a master. I mean, I'm almost 11,500 hours into leather work. Like that's been my whole life since I was a little kid. And I'll send you some pictures of some stuff, bro, because knives and leather work.
Cool.
Forging, not like I'm okay at forging. I can take, drill bits and make beautiful carving knives out of them and stuff like that. But if you were like Damascus it up, baby, I'd be like, nah. You know what I mean? Old school black forging. I'm okay at.
Awesome. Yeah, send me a link and see what kind of shit you got for sure.
Oh no, I don't make it anymore. This wasn't a sales pitch.
That sucks.
But I'll tell you something. Everything I make's got a lifetime warranty on it, right? And I can tell you now, there's a couple of projects that have sat there for 5 years unfinished in a box, right? A couple of them are belts. I feel like one of my belts is going to make a journey to you, Steve, because they're freaking 6 mil saddle hide with hand cast brass fittings that are designed for a Cheshire horse saddle. Like it's a freaking good belt.
Right on.
So, hell yeah. But listen, is there anything you want to tell the people, Steve? Right? Anything you want to just
don't number one is don't be scared of anything. I always tell everyone. And also number one, make sure you do what you love to do at all costs. You make sure you do what you love to do. As soon as you stop doing that, you've lost altogether. You got to keep that vibration going up.
Yeah.
Even an hour a day, take somebody to do what you love to do. You have to,
Do you know what's crazy, right? Your whole shtick, Steve, right? Like badass wood dude, right? I don't think you realize the impact of when you say certain words to people about vibrations and awakening, right? You are almost a cardboard cutout of a demographic waiting for someone like you to help push them over the edge, because you're a badass wood guy, right? You're like the badass wood guy, right? You're like the freaking I'll freaking chainsaw and give me a week and I've got a 2-bedroom freaking apartment made out in the woods, right? You're that guy. And there's a whole level of people that are like you that are stuck in the stigma you've just spoken about.
Yeah.
And when you say things like vibrations and awakening, it's going to hit some people that see this like fucking train, bro. And that is so massive because the authenticity is just oozing. And I just want to say,
that's why we're here, right?
Oh yeah. But listen, Steve, thank you so much.
It's tough. It's tough for me, like you say. Like I've never said like, subscribe, share in my life. I've told more people to fuck off than I have watched the channel. But
yeah, but that's good. You're filtering out the muggles and you're building the purists. Okay, and it's those who are ready to listen and take the step you want to acknowledge. Never, ever, ever feel like you need to explain or acknowledge madness in comment sections or anything, because you're not there to do that. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, I'd probably leave by saying, look, if any of this shit has your curiosity, there's a bunch of it on my channel, but I don't give a shit if you subscribe or not. If it can help you, give her. The wide open.
The door is wide open. I'm going to make sure this is all posted and all linked. And
the door is wide open.
Steve, listen, this has been a fantastic conversation. I can't thank you enough for giving up your time. And I just want to say thank you. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again and just keeping in touch over the next however many years until the veil is fully down. And we're like, yep, told you. See that? Told you.
Yeah, they'll get a big victory party somewhere and hit it.
Yeah. just give us some. If the Bigfoot could just bring some gold, right? We'll give you apples for gold. Okay, that's what we want, right?
That's,
Apples
wait
for
a
gold.
minute. Now we're going backwards again.
Right, apples for gold. Like we make this an easier journey to send the message. Okay, like this, because that would be great, Bigfoot. Okay, that would be great. All right, let's just get everything, taxes and bills paid for the next 5 years to get the message sent out. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, obviously not. We're not turning this into a capitalist monster, but you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
And
Good meeting, man. We'll do it again.
Oh, hell yeah. Till next time, Steve. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone at home. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Over and out. Later.
Peace.